103. What does that mean? She whispered harshly. I would have killed Parker myself. That's how bad. Oh, come on, let me have you. He ran his hands down her chest and gently squeezed her breasts. Now. She carefully licked his lips and kissed him long and hard. She ran her hand down between his legs and squeezed gently. Later, she said, as she stood up. Oh, no, Allure, I want you now. He grabbed her and set her on the desk. I don't mix business with pleasure. What does that mean? I don't do sex in offices. She ran her hands over his chest. You and I have a business deal. If you want sex, it's separate. I understand. It doesn't stop me from wanting you. Oh, I know. I can feel it, she grinned. I can relieve that for you, she said. He kissed her long and hard. Relieve me, he breathed heavily. Whatever you say, boss, she said, as she unzipped his pants. He zipped up his pants and sat down in the chair and looked up at her as she sat on his desk. Feel better, she grinned. You are quite a woman. I can just imagine how it will feel inside your body again. He straightened his tie. You need to know one thing, though, she said, as she crossed her legs. What's that? I won't become some submissive mistress to you. I will still do my job. I won't be some kept woman that you eventually have killed like you did with Alyssa. Oh, that's not what I want you for. You and I could be great together. We could accomplish so much together. I think you're right. So, you trust me now, she smiled. Oh, I'm getting there. Believe me, he stood up and placed his hands on her shoulders. When can I have you? Meet me at the penthouse at 6 p.m. tomorrow. The job will be done and you can pay me. Then, you can see how I really am. She leaned up and kissed him hard. I like it hard, is that all right? Whatever makes you happy, he said. She got off the desk and ran her hands down his legs. Oh, I do so like it hard, she said. Tomorrow, she said, as she headed out the 104 door. Jack sat down behind his desk and smiled. God, I have to have that woman again. Sam got in her car and sped to the penthouse. She hurried up to the penthouse and ran down the hall to the bathroom. She stripped completely and leaned over the toilet to make herself throw up. She wiped her mouth and then brushed her teeth frantically. She turned on the hot water in the shower and got in the tub. She sat down in the tub as the hot water poured on her body. She buried her face in her hands and cried to herself. Once the water turned cold, she got out of the shower and dried herself off. She walked down the hall to the bedroom and got dressed. She pulled out her mother's photo. Mom, I hate this. I don't want to do this. I don't know what to do. I have to kill this bastard. He has to pay for what he did to you. I can't believe I used to. No, I can't think about that anymore. That was a long time ago. She dried her tears. She took her picture and put it in her duffel bag. She combed her hair and headed out of the penthouse. 105. 106. Trust. Sam stared through the windshield of the car as she pulled into the parking garage. She grabbed her bag and headed towards the apartment building. Damn, I forgot food, she said, as she looked up and down the street. She headed for the Chinese restaurant and ordered 2 family meals. She then took a deep breath and headed back to the apartment. She opened the door and found Parker, asleep in the heavy wooden chair and still cuffed to the arm. She shook her head as she dropped the bags on the table. He woke up quickly. Oh, what time is it? 6, she said. I forgot to get groceries, so I picked up Chinese. Is that all right? It's fine. As long as it's not pizza. I've been eating that all day. I'm sorry about that, she said, as she dropped on the sofa. Sam, I do have to use the bathroom. I've been sitting here all day. Oh, right, I didn't think of that, she said, as she unlocked his cuffs. She followed him to the bathroom. Well, go on, she said. Are you going to watch? He laughed. No, I'll be in the other room, she said, as she closed the door. She sat on the sofa and watched the bathroom door. Suddenly, he came out and sat down next to her on the sofa. Please, don't cuff me right now, he whispered. I won't if you behave, she said. I won't screw us up, he said. Let me get some plates and we can eat, she said, as she went into the kitchen. So, what is this place anyway? It's a safe house. The department doesn't use it anymore, but the entire building is owned by my father's company. I guess I own it now. Sam, what happened today? He said, as he dished them each out a plate. 107. I scoped out the mark. He'll die tomorrow. There's something else, isn't there? I met with Jack today. Oh, what happened, if I have permission to ask, he said, as he took a bite of his food. Sam took his face in her hands and made him face her. I think you're going to hate me after I finish this job. I couldn't bear to have you hate me. You're welcome to leave, if you want. He lightly touched her hand. Sam, does Jack think I'm dead? Yes, I showed him the pictures. She pulled the envelope out of her pocket. These, she handed them to him. He looked at the photos. Wow, if I didn't know any better, I'd say I was dead, too. It's not funny. She stood up and walked over to the window. Parker stood up and walked over to her. Sam, tell me. What do you think you could do that would make me hate you? Tomorrow. I have to have sex with Jack. Sam. You can't sleep with Jack. See? I don't deserve you. I have to do this. I have to kill that lawyer and I have to have sex with Jack. I don't know any other way. That's what he wants. It was bad enough that I had to kiss him and, you know, relieve him. Where? In his office. He told me that if I hadn't killed you, he would've. He wants me and he's like a rabid dog. I don't know how to get out of this. If I turn him down, he'll kill me. What if he only thinks you slept with him? Parker took her hand. What do you mean? She asked, as she followed him to the sofa and sat down. Drug his drink. Get him into bed and have him wake up next to you, naked or whatever. We can do this together. Let me go with you to the penthouse. Let me help you pull this off. But, how? Couldn't he, tell if his body had sex? There are ways, Parker said. I can help you. You do what you need to do and I'll be your backup. I'll be there at the penthouse, waiting for you. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I want to help. I'm not just helping so you don't have to sleep with him. It's because I can see how bad you don't want to have 108 sex with this man. He repulses me. I drove right to the penthouse and threw up. I scrubbed my teeth and took a long, hot shower. I didn't want you to see me that way. Babe, please, I just want to help you. I won't let Morrison hurt you. How do we get you out of here? Disguise. I'm sure we'll figure out a way. Come on, finish eating. He handed her the plate of food. I don't know why you are so good to me after what I did to you. You tied me up. You faked my death. You slapped me. You didn't kill me, you didn't even punch me, he grinned. I wanted to, though, she smiled slightly as she took a bite of her food. The slap said it all, babe. He poured them both a glass of wine. Just enjoy. We'll figure out a plan later. How the hell am I going to drug him? She asked. Oh, wait, I know. What's that? Oh, That will never work. It has a taste. I was thinking cough syrup, but that would leave a taste in his drink. Not if he drinks port wine. That's a very robust drink. It should hide the taste and smell. You could also get a flavor enhancer from the pharmacy. What's that? They use it to add to drugs so that kids will take the medicines easier. If you tell the pharmacists that you have an elderly parent who won't take his medicine, and ask if they could add a flavor to the bottle, they just may do that. You're pretty smart. Thanks, he blushed as he set his empty plate on the table. She looked over at him. I can trust you, can't I? He lightly touched her cheek. Yes, you can, he whispered, as he leaned in and kissed her. Sam, let me love you, please. I slept with Luke for the past 2 days and then I got Jack off today and you want me to make love to you. Are you saying no for me or for you? He asked. For you. It's not right, she cried. I betrayed you. You should hate me. She stood up and hurried into the bedroom. He followed her and found her sitting on the bed, with her 109 knees curled up to her chest. He sat next to her and put his arm around her. Sam. I'm a slut. I never, I never did this kind of thing before. I mean, I've only been with, 5 men in my life, Luke, Tyler, Ed, and you. I never slept with anyone else. 5. Who's the 5th? No one. Not important anymore. Forget I said it. Who's Tyler? He asked, not letting on that Luke already told him the story. He was my fiancé, he died when I was 21. We dated throughout high school. Luke took care of me after he died and years later, I fell in love with Ed. He was a good man and a great cop. Then, he died on me. I been in the Marines and then I was a cop. All I knew was how to be a cop and in love with someone who ends up dying on me. Luke was the only one who never left me that way, she wiped the tears from her eyes. Even when I went undercover, I never used my body to get the job done. Sometimes, to avoid it, I had to pretend that I was gay, but other times, it was about doing the job. Now, here I am. I'm a slut. No, no, you're not. What you and Luke share was friendship. I don't know if I should tell you, but he came back here after you left. He explained your relationship. I understand it. He also said if you and I got together, that your friendship would be -6. I never cheated on anyone with Luke. We were only together when I wasn't with anyone and neither was he. Sam, we'll figure out a way to get Jack to believe you two are sleeping together, but it won't be forever. Yes, you may have to touch and kiss him, but you won't have to sleep with him. She laid her head on his shoulder. How come you're so understanding? I fell in love with you. No, I didn't plan it, but I did. As I was cuffed to the chair, I kept playing the last few weeks in my head. Honey, I never have been happier with anyone than I am when I'm with you. I will do whatever I can to keep you. I want to make you as happy as you make me. She leaned up and kissed him softly. No more lies. No more lies, he smiled. No more hiding details. Nothing like that. Does the same go for you? Yes, I will share with you. I promise. Sam, are we all right now? He whispered. 110. Yeah, we are. I'm sorry I didn't just confront you. Well, it seems to have worked out for us. Care to sleep with a dead man? He raised his eyebrows up and down. Are you sure? She wept. He wiped the tears from her dark eyes. Babe, I've missed you. He whispered, as he laid down next to her. He ran his hands down her body and held her close to him. Let me show you how much, he whispered. She held him tightly. I do love you, PK, she said, as she closed her eyes. And I love you, he said, as he kissed her passionately. 111. 112. Tricks of the trade. Parker woke up and noticed that Sam wasn't in the bed. Sam, he got out of bed and found her staring out the living room window. Sam. She turned around and hugged him tightly. I'm so sorry. Why are you sorry, babe? That I ever doubted you. She buried her face in his chest. I don't want to lose you. Anything you have to do for the job, I won't hold against you. I love you. I know we don't have a normal relationship. Hell, we found ourselves together under very unusual circumstances. I just want to love you. That's all. I know, when this is all over, we will continue to be together. Yes, we will. I hope. I promise you, babe, he kissed her softly. So, what do we do now? Well, I have a hat and sunglasses you can wear. My Mustang is parked in the garage that adjoins this building. You can use the catwalk and I'll use the street. It's level B6. I have some clothes you can wear and we'll go to the penthouse. I just don't know how you'll enter the building. How'd you get out? I used the fire escape. I jumped from the balcony to the fire escape. I don't think you can jump up to the balcony. I could use the service entrance. If you drop me off down the block, I'll take the back alley. Oh, then I meet you up in the penthouse. Yeah, is that all right? Yeah, that's fine. I have my, appointment at 10. How far is it from the penthouse? About 20 minutes, she said. Let's get dressed. We should get going. All right, he said, as he followed her into the bedroom. 113. Sam sat down on the sofa in the penthouse and opened her duffel bag. She pulled out the telescope and one of the rifles. She grabbed the duct tape out of the bag as Parker came out of the kitchen. What are you doing? It's a trick, she said. Watch and learn, she laughed, as she pulled out the etching of the rose and placed the steel plates into the barrel of the rifle. I'll be right back, she said, as she left the room with the metal rod. She came back a few minutes later, with a red-hot metal rod. She slowly inserted the rod into the barrel. There, she said, as she pulled it out. What's that thing? He asked. It embeds roses on the bullets once they're fired. I saw it at the store and thought it was cool. It is pretty cool. A new calling card. Yeah, well, you knew my old one and that was before I knew if I could trust you. Can you hand me the red paint in that bag? He rummaged through the bag. How did you get all this stuff in this bag? I pack very well. I did spend some of the money, but just a little over 1,000. He pulled out the red paint. No nail polish. No, I figured I needed red paint anyway, she smiled. Oh, blood, right. Yup, I figured it was better than really killing you, she smiled. Yeah, it was better, he kissed her cheek. So, now what are you doing? I needed a makeshift scope. I just taped this to the rifle, she said, as she opened the box of ammunition. If I empty out a third of the gunpowder in the bullets, they will travel faster. Wow, I didn't know that. You are so smart. Well, in the Marines we had to improvise sometimes. Today's mark is going to be a long-range shot and it has to penetrate glass, she said, as filed the tip of the bullet. Can you hand me that screwdriver? He handed her the screwdriver and watched in awe as she prepared her bullets. She, then, painted each bullet with the red paint and let it dry. She then reassembled it into its casing. She looked at her watch. Okay, it's 8 now. 2 hours. I can do this. Yeah, you can. Oh, one question, what about the token? I got his business card and because he thought I was cute, he wrote his home phone on the back of it. Extra points for that one, she said. 114. Anyone could get his business card, he said. No, not really. He only keeps him. His secretary doesn't even have them to give out. You have to make an appointment or meet with him directly. You have done your homework, haven't you? Well, you were supposed to scope him out. What did you find out? That he likes the ladies, he said. That's what I figured out, too. I walked into his office and made an appointment. Why? I didn't use my own name. I figured that way, no one would be in his office if he had an appointment. You are so smart, he laughed. Just experienced. Whatever I do, please, forgive me. There is nothing to forgive. How many times do I have to tell you? I just hope you forgive me. I do. Oh, crap, I forgot to stop at the pharmacy. I know. That's why I did. I stopped at the one around the corner from here. Don't worry. After your job, come back here. He thinks that you have a procedure after kills, remember? Yeah, he wants to be the procedure. What if he decides to come early? I'll be in the bedroom. There's a hidden panel in the closet. All the drapes here are already closed. Don't worry. He won't know I'm here. You just come back here, and if he shows up early, we'll deal with it. I won't let you use yourself. I know. I hate having to touch him. I know, but, babe, just pretend it's me. You do like touching me, don't you? Definitely, she kissed him softly. I love touching you. And you, he said, as he lightly touched her chest. I wish. Later, PK, she grinned. I need to get ready. You're not wearing that. No, I'll be on the roof of a building. Work boots and pants. It's more comfortable. Oh, alright. I'll just sit here and behave. I'll also fix the drink for tonight. Oh, what do I do? I don't want to be knocked out. Don't worry. The glasses will be poured in the kitchen. His will be the port and yours will be the white wine. The port bottle will be on 115. The counter. I'll also put a charm on your wine glass. That way you know not to drink it. Sounds like a plan, she said, as she headed down the hall. 116. Third. Sam stood on the roof and leaned on the edge. She peered through the scope and watched and waited. Her watch beeped to indicate it was 10 o'clock. She waited and waited until his secretary left his office. She watched as he sat down at his desk and sipped his coffee. He then stood up, looked at his watch, and walked over to the window. With him in her line of sight, she slowly squeezed the trigger. She stared at the speeding bullet as it flew towards her target. The glass slowly shattered as the man flew backwards and landed on the ground. She stared through the scope and watched as the blood slowly seeped out of his forehead. She took a deep breath and wiped the tear from her eye. She disassembled the rifle and wiped it down. She placed it in a plastic bag, and then put it in her duffel bag. She put on her baseball cap and headed towards the stairs. She sat in her car and stared out the window. She placed her hand on her heart. God, please, forgive me, she cried, as she started the car. She drove down the street as police cars, with sirens blaring, sped down the road in the opposite direction. She slowly walked into the penthouse and dropped her bag on the sofa. Sam, she knew that was not Parker's voice. Jack? Where are you? She asked. He came out of the kitchen and walked over to her. Is it done? Yes, but what are you doing here? Helping myself to a drink. Want one? What are you drinking? You had a bottle of port on your counter, so I helped myself. Oh, I don't like port. That was Parker's. I'll have a glass of white, if you don't mind. No, whatever you need. He grabbed her arm and pulled her into a long, hard kiss. Is it time for procedure? Business first. I thought you were coming at 6, she said, as they went into the kitchen. 117. He sipped his wine. This is good. I came because I thought by 6, you may not be in the mood anymore. I didn't want to miss my next opportunity to get a taste of you, he grinned. Are you always so rude? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound rude. I don't want to be rude or crude to you, he said, as he moved closer to her. She got a bottle of wine out of the cabinet and poured herself a drink. She swirled it around and smelled it. She slowly took a sip. Like I said, business first. Want some white? She asked. No, this is good, he said. Wait, don't drink that, she said. Why? That's not a good year, she said. It's fine, he said as he guzzled the wine down and poured himself another glass. I have the money in the briefcase in the other room. Good, she reached in her pocket. Here's his business card, even has his home number on it. Did you sleep with him? Nope, didn't have to, thank God. I hate lawyers, she laughed slightly. That's why I had you eliminate him, he said. Now that business is taken care of, I want you to show me this procedure. He moved closer to her as she drank down her wine. He drank down his wine and pulled her close to him. He ran his hands down her body as he kissed her hard and passionately. She took his hand and led him into the bedroom. This is how I do it, and since it's my procedure, we do it my way, she said, as she pushed him on the bed. Whatever you want, Allure, he grinned. I want your mouth to water, she flirted. Oh, I like this, he said. She slowly unbuttoned her blouse and let it slide off her shoulders and drop to the ground. She unhooked her bra and dangled it around her finger and tossed it on the floor. She moved closer to him as she removed her pants. She took his hands and allowed him to touch her body. Can you feel it? She whispered harshly. Oh, let me. She loosened his tie and threw it on the floor. She unbuttoned his shirt and took it off him. She ran her hands down his chest and unbuckled his belt. She pushed him to lie down on the bed and slowly 118. Removed his pants. She slowly removed her panties and allowed him to touch her as she straddled his naked body. How bad do you want it? She whispered. I want you now. I can't take it anymore, he said, as he slowly dozed off. Jack. Jack, she called, but he was out. PK. He came out of the closet. I'm here. Are you all right? Yeah, it was close. Too close, but he finally passed out. How long do you think he'll be out? She said, as she put on a robe. A few hours maybe, he said, as he pulled Jack's body up to the head of the bed. I better stay in here with him, in case he wakes up, she said. Sam, let's do it, he said. What? Next to him. Yeah, we need to make it real, don't we? He grinned. After what I did, she cried. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Please, you are so beautiful. I am so turned on right now. You are so sexy. I love you, he begged. She slightly pushed him away from her. No, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Oh, well, all right, he said. You better get in with him. She slowly climbed into the bed. Parker covered her and Jack's body up. Where will you be? I'll be around, unseen. Don't worry. I love you, Sam, he said, as he kissed her mouth. She rolled over and curled up next to Jack and waited, as Parker left the room. She closed her eyes and cried to herself, and, to think if he wasn't here, I would have made love to you. Why did you drink the damn wine? 119. 120. Hidden. As Jack began to stir, Sam straddled his body and gazed down at him. So, how was it? He looked confusingly up at her. What happened? You don't know, she said, as she slowly laid down next to him. I'm sorry. My head feels like it weighs a ton. He rolled over and looked at her. You probably drank too much. It was, to say the least, incredible, she said. You are so beautiful. You were amazing, you know that. Oh, so now you remember, she grinned. Oh, yeah, I remember, he said, as he ran his hands down her body. I take it you enjoyed yourself, too. Definitely, she leaned over and kissed him. We've been making love for hours and I'm kind of tired. I understand, he said, as he slowly sat up. I should get dressed and go. Oh, you can't stay, she asked. No, sorry. Someday, I may be able to stay. Jack, where does this leave us? What do you mean, he asked, as he put on his pants. You and me. Was this it? Do I still work for you? Do I still sleep with you or was this the end, she asked, as she got out of bed and put on her robe. This, allure, was only the beginning. Why do you keep calling me that? What? Allure, she sighed. You know why, even if you won't admit it, he smiled. Allure, you are better than ever. I thought what you did for me at the office was great, but I feel so, well, wonderful. Better than I have in a long, long time. Sam walked over to him and helped him button his shirt. How 121. Long has it been for you? Not long, but the sex was never this good. My head is so foggy, you made one hell of an impression on me, he kissed her softly. I'm glad. So, when do I see you again? Stop by the bar tomorrow. I want to keep seeing you, both for business and for pleasure, he said. Until then, she said, as he walked out of the room. She watched as he left the penthouse. She opened the briefcase and pulled out all the money. She hurried to the safe in the bedroom and put it inside. Parker walked into the room. So, he fell for it? Yeah, he said it was the best sex he ever had, she laughed slightly. I told you it would work, he smiled. Now, I need a shower and I want those sheets changed or burned or whatever, she said. Consider it done. Go take your shower. She closed the safe and looked at him. I'm sorry. I told you, don't apologize, he grinned. I just don't know if I can keep drugging him. He thinks because his head was foggy that I did that to him because of great sex. Well, you do that to me, he said. I'm taking a shower. Maybe you can figure out how I can not sleep with him the next time, she laughed, as she headed out of the room. Oh, I'll make sure you never have to sleep with him again, he whispered, as he started removing the blankets and sheets from the bed. He bundled them up and put them in a garbage bag. 122. Itch. Sam took a deep breath and headed into the Razor's Edge. She walked over to the bar and sat down. Steve walked over to her. Mr. Morrison wants to see you in his office, he said. Oh, all right, she said, as she headed to Jack's office. She knocked and then walked in. He wasn't sitting at his desk. Just as she was about to turn around, he came up behind her and placed a cloth over her nose and mouth. She struggled into unconsciousness. Parker, driving Drew's car, followed Sam to the bar. As he was pulling down the street, he noticed Jack carrying Sam's body to the large building behind the bar. He pulled down his baseball cap and put on his sunglasses and pulled over to the side of the road. He picked up his cell phone. Lucas Ford, please, he said. This is Captain Ford, he answered. This is Parker. I think Sam's in trouble. Tell me. I just saw Morrison carry her body out of the bar and into the building behind it. Where are you? I'm watching the building, but I want to move in closer, but they think I'm dead. All right, I'll be there soon. Don't move in unless you absolutely need to. All right, he said, as he hung up. Sam woke up and found herself bound on a bed, in an unfamiliar room. Jack sat down on the bed next to her. I'm sorry about this. Why did you do this to me? Fair Samantha, I want us to be together, he lightly touched her hair. That's why I came here. You didn't have to do this to me. We played your game last night, so, today, we're going to play 123. My game. Jack, I didn't sign up for this. I thought we were going to be something special. Lovely Allure, I don't want to hurt you, I just want you. You can have me. I'm not fighting you on this. Please, untie me. I don't know. You know, Allure, I was thinking about last night and I can't remember some parts of making love to you. I wonder why that is. I don't know. You did have a few glasses of port. Well, the next time, I want to remember. Don't you? Of course, I want you to remember. Jack, I want to be with you. You didn't have to play this game. He untied her from the bed and she rubbed her wrists. He grabbed her and pulled her close to him. I want you now. Where are we? Oh, this is my private apartment. He slowly unbuttoned her blouse and let it slide off her shoulders. He grabbed her arms and forced them behind her back. What are you doing? She cried. Oh, baby, this we will both remember, he said, as he tied her hands behind her back. Now, just stand there, he said, as he placed a blindfold around her eyes. Jack, she could feel his hot breath on her body. She could feel his hands down her body as her clothes were removed. She felt herself standing in the middle of the room and then his touching stopped. Jack. I just want to look at you. I want to memorize every inch of you, he said, as he started to touch her again. He took her hand and placed it in his pants. Can you feel me? He whispered harshly. Yes, she gulped. He licked her breasts and ran his tongue down her body. All of a sudden, she felt herself fly onto the bed. Come on, baby, fight me. Jack. I don't want to fight you. I said I'd give myself to you willingly. It may have been fun for you, but it's not fun for me. Come on, fight me. I like my women to give in fighting. She could sense that he was coming closer to her, so she lifted her leg and kicked. Jack flew across the room. He stood up quickly and punched her in the face. She listened for his movements and then spun around and kicked him again. Done. 124. Not even close, he grabbed her arms and threw her on the bed. She could feel his heavy body lay on top of hers. This is not what I want, she cried, as she tried to get out from underneath his body. It's what I want. Allure, I own you now, he said, as he unzipped his pants. No, she cried. You didn't have to. It's all right, Allure. Don't you remember, he said. Jack leaned over and kissed her mouth softly. Soon, Samantha, it will be soon, he whispered. Jack. I need to tell you, just not now, she cried. When? He whispered. Soon. I promise, she said. I'll let you do what you need to, but I won't wait forever. You know that I'm not a very patient man, he said, as he walked out of the room and closed the door. Sam rubbed her face against the bed until her blindfold was removed. She looked around the room and walked over to the desk. She turned her back and opened the drawer with her bound hands. She searched the drawer until she found a letter opener. She grabbed the opener with her bound hands and tried to angle it again the ropes that tied her hands. Finally, her hands were free. She hurried to get dressed. She walked over to the door and noticed it was locked from the outside. She went into the bathroom and searched for a window. The frosted glass glistened with dew from an earlier shower. She tried to open it, and when she realized it was glued shut, she kept hitting it with the handle of the toilet plunger to break the glass. Parker got out of his car when Luke pulled in. "Where is she?" "I don't know. Somewhere in that building." Jack came out and he was alone. "I think she's still in there." "Damn, we have to get in there," he said, as they noticed Sam climbing out the window. "I'll get her. You stay here." Parker got in the car and started it. He watched as Luke ran over to Sam. When Sam stood up, she collapsed in his arms. Luke looked at her. "Sam, what did he do to you?" he cried, as he carried her body over to the car. He set her in Parker's back seat. "Take her to the safe house now. I'll meet you there." Parker sped off and Luke followed. Parker picked up his 125 cell phone. "Drew, it's me. Sam's car is outside the Razor's Edge." "I know. I'm right outside now. I need it brought back to the penthouse." "Is that where you're going?" "No, I'll be in contact soon. Keep an eye on them. I don't know what he did to her, but it's not good. Keep me informed." Drew hung up. Parker laid Sam's body on the bed and held her hand. "Sam." She slowly opened her eyes and then moved away from him. "Don't touch me." "Sam, it's PK. I won't hurt you," he said. "Don't touch me. Please," she cried. "I won't. I promise." "Babe, what did he do to you?" She buried her face in her hands and cried. He raped me. I told him I was willing, but he likes it rough. He tied me up and made me fight him, so he could force himself on me. He didn't care that I was willing. He said he liked women to fight him back." "PK, it hurts really bad," she said. "You're bleeding. You need to get to a hospital," he said. "I can't. I can't. I did this. It's my fault," she cried. Luke came into the room. "Sweetie, it's not your fault." "Yes, it is. I should have never made him believe that I wanted him. I didn't know he'd do this to me." "Did he say anything else to you?" Luke asked. "He said he had to break me in. He said he was coming back for me to do it again. I had to get out of there. Oh, God, my stomach hurts." She looked down at her blood-soaked shirt. "I must have cut it on the glass. I called an ambulance." "You're going to the hospital," Luke said, as sirens were heard in the distance. "I'm coming with you," Parker said. "No, you're supposed to be dead," she cried. "Again, my fault. I don't care about Morrison. We'll deal with him and his entourage later." "You come first," he said, as the EMTs came into the room. They slowly placed Sam on the stretcher and covered her up. They rolled her out of the apartment. Luke looked at Parker. "Don't go after him yet." "I won't. She comes first. That son of a bitch raped her just because he wanted to. What kind of monster does that?" "I don't know, but he will pay. Right now, let's go see Sam." Aisle 126. "Drive," Luke said, as the two men headed out. 127. 128. Trauma. Luke and Parker paced back and forth outside of Sam's exam room. They stopped in their tracks when the doctor came out of the room. "Doc, how is she?" The woman sighed heavily. "I'm Dr. Elise Lewis." "Well, she has a bruise on her face. She has severe lacerations on her stomach. They had some glass particles in them. We stitched her up." "She was raped, right?" Parker asked. "I don't know. She refused the rape kit, but we gave her some antibiotics to prevent any infection." "When can she go home?" Parker asked. I want to observe her for an hour and then she should be ready to go home. Can we see her? Luke asked. Not yet. The crime victim's advocate is in with her now. Sir, you're police, right? Yes, I'll be taking care of her case. I'll finish up my report, she said. Good. Just let us know when we can see her, Luke said. Oh, she is very traumatized by what happened to her. She was very skittish about being touched. I wouldn't recommend touching her at all, unless she says otherwise. Will she get better? Parker asked. Are you close to her? Parker nodded. I'm her lover. How do I act? I don't want to hurt her any worse than she already is. How do I handle this? I've seen this before. It will go away, but it will take time. Each victim is different. Just listen to what she says. I mean really listen. It's so important that you listen and observe her. She may not want to be alone, but she may not want to be touched either. Some don't even allow others to touch her hand. I also gave her a script for pain and antibiotics. Warm baths may help. Thank you, doctor, Parker said. Here, you both may want to read this. She handed them a 129 brochure. It's for family members of rape victims. Once the advocate comes out of the room, you two can go in, she said. I'll be back in a little while to check on her. Thanks again, Doc, Luke said, as he and Parker sat down in the chairs that lined the hallway. Luke looked over Parker's shoulder as the two read the brochure. Parker looked up when the woman carrying a clipboard walked out of Sam's room. I guess we can go in now, he said. We'll get her through this, Luke said. I know. I will do anything for me. How could he do that to her? I don't know. I heard what she told you. I heard what happened. I should have barged right in there and saved her. If I had known what he was doing to her, I would have let you. Come on, let's go see Sam. The two men slowly walked into the exam room. Sam was lying on the bed, wrapped up with her blanket, and she was crying. Sam. Parker said, as he and Luke sat down. I just want to go home, she cried. The doctor said soon, Parker said. I'm so sorry. You don't need a broken woman, she cried. Babe, it's not your fault. I will take care of you. I promise. She sat up. I can't make love anymore. I can't be touched. I want him dead. I am going to be here for you and I want him dead, too. First, before we do anything, you need to get better. You need time, Parker said. I love you, Sam, and I'm not going to let him ever hurt you again. But. No buts, I love you. I will take care of you. I promise. But now I'm going to die, too. Why? Luke asked. Once he finds out that Parker is alive, he'll kill me for lying to him. We will take care of him and all his men. Right now, you need to get better. We'll go back to the safe house, Parker said. I don't know. It's still in the city, she cried. I have a better idea, Luke said. Your parents' cabin. It's a 3-hour drive from here. You'll be safe there. No one knows about 130. That place. Oh, all right. We would need a lot of things, Sam said. Parker, you stay here with her. I'll go back to the safe house and pack up. I'll get everything you two will need. Don't worry. Luke, don't you have to work, she cried. Sweetie, I'm a captain. I can take a day or so off. I'll be back and then we can go. You will be safe. No matter what. Thanks, Luke, she cried, as he left the room. I'm sorry. I should have saved you, Parker said. Don't. You didn't know. I saw him carry your body in the building. I didn't know he was going to do that to you. I called Luke, but he said to wait until he got there. I should have just barged in there. He would have killed both of us. I'm glad you didn't. I didn't want you to see me that way, she cried. What way? Please, don't. I'm sorry I was weak. You're not weak. He hurt you. It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was. I should have never done this stupid plan. We should have just continued to be lovers, not have you be dead. I'm so sorry. I screwed everything up, she cried. No, you didn't. You did not screw up. He did. He killed too many people and he hurt you. He will not get away with it. I swear, I'll kill him if I have to. PK, don't get killed over me, she cried. I won't die on you. I promise. I will always be here for you. Like I said, babe, I love you. You're my life. I'm sorry that I'm such a mess, she cried. I wish I could hold you and make it better. I'm sorry. I just feel so dirty right now, but you can hold my hand, she said, as she reached out her hand. He took it and held it gently. You rest until Luke gets back, he said, as she closed her eyes. No one will ever hurt you again, he cried to himself. 131. 132. Peace. Parker pulled into the driveway of the cabin, as Luke pulled in behind him. Sam slowly got out of the car and headed inside. Parker looked at Luke. This place is nice, he said. I know. It's the safest place I know of. If you want to unpack the cars, I'll gather some firewood. There's also a lake down that trail. It's been quite a long time since we've been here, but I know there is a caretaker that keeps it up. The two men headed into the cabin, where Sam was removing all the sheets from the furniture. Luke, will you be staying, too? Just overnight. There's 3 rooms, right? Yeah, I'm going to open all the windows and air this place out, she said. I'll get the firewood and Parker is unloading the car, he said, as he headed out. Sam looked at Parker. Thank you, she said quietly. For what, babe? Being here. I know this is not what you planned. I'm sorry this isn't so fancy. This place is beautiful, he walked over to the mantel. Is this Dylan? Yeah, all-star football player. Oh, damn, Dylan. He is all right, isn't he? Yeah, babe, one of my men is keeping him safe. He went in as an orderly at the institute. He's fine. You can even call him if you want to check on him. Thanks. I doubt we get reception up here. Luke walked in the room. I bought an extended wave antenna so the cell phones will work, he said, as he dropped the firewood into the box near the fireplace. Oh, good, she said, as she loaded some wood into the fireplace and opened the flute. Parker and Luke left the cabin and Sam opened all the windows. She walked into the kitchen and started to wipe down the counters. She 133. Stared out the window and sighed. Mom, I wish you were here. I need you, she closed her eyes as tears streamed down her face. Sammy. Anna called. 10-year-old Samantha hurried into the kitchen. What is it, Mama? I'm going to make some cookies. Do you want to help? She smiled, as she wiped her hands on her apron. I can't do it. You can help. Don't worry. Mama, I'll never learn, she said, as she sat at the table. It's all right. Someday, you'll marry a man who can cook for you, she smiled. Is that why Daddy married you? Her dark eyes lit up. Partly, Anna laughed. Now, we need chocolate chips, eggs, butter and flour. I can get them, she hopped off the chair. Where are your brothers and Luke? She asked. Playing by the lake with Daddy. Why aren't you with them? Because they said I was a girl, she frowned as she opened the cabinet. Yes, you're a girl, but you can do whatever boys do. Do you do what boys do? Well, let's see, she smiled, as she placed the large mixing bowl on the counter. I do things that people do. I cook and clean and take care of you kids, but I also work, when we're not on vacation. You do everything, Mama. Yeah, I guess I do, she kissed her daughter's cheek. And when you grow up, you decide what you do and don't want to do. Don't let anyone make you do what you don't want to. I won't. I want to be strong like you. You will be stronger. One day, you'll be able to kick your brother's butt. She laughed. You said butt, Mama. That was funny, Sam laughed. Let's just make the cookies, Anna said. Sam wiped her tears. Mom, I failed you. He made me do what I didn't want to do in the first place, at least not that way. Maybe at one time I did, but, Mom, you know the story, she cried, as she dropped to the floor. Parker stood in the doorway and watched as she cried. He 134. Wanted to take her in his arms and make her better, but he didn't want to crowd her. Sam. She looked up quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you need something? Where do you want these? Just set them on the counter. I'll start putting the food away, she said, as she slowly stood up. Are you all right? He asked. Just thinking about my mom, that's all. It's nothing. We used to come here every summer for a month or so, well, until I was about 19 or so, she smiled slightly. I am here if you need me. You know, to talk or anything. I know, and I'm sorry I've been withdrawn. I still need a little time to myself. I'm not trying to push you away, she said, as she walked over to him. I really just need a little time. I understand. I'll give you as much as you need. I love you, he said. I love you, too, she lightly kissed his cheek. Well, we better get to work. Do you want to start in the kitchen? After all, you're the cook. I'll go get the bedrooms ready, she said. Oh, about the bedrooms. We can share our room if that's what you're asking. Yeah, I didn't want to crowd you. If you change your mind, I can sleep in one of the other rooms. Well, Luke will have the boys' room. We'll take the master. The third room was mine. Well, when I was little, she smiled, as she went into the other room. Luke was stoking the fire in the fireplace. Hey, how's the kitchen turning out? I have PK doing it now. I'm going to make the beds, she said. Why don't you just relax? I already made the beds. I didn't know if you and Parker are sharing a bed or not, but I put both of your stuff in the master. That's fine. He'll be sleeping with me, yes, she smiled. Thanks, Luke, for everything. You are so welcome, honey, he smiled, as he sat down on the sofa. So, what do we do now? I smell something good, she grinned. He must be cooking. You know, you found the perfect man. Luke said. 135. What do you mean? A man who will love you and cook for you, he laughed. Yup, love his food. He did try my cooking. I heard. How many times did Anna tell you not to make eggs? He laughed. I guess I thought if I kept trying, I'd finally get it, she laughed. You know what I found in your old room, he smiled, as he opened the drawer under the coffee table. My album. Our album, remember that summer, I think we used 50 rolls of film that summer, he opened the book. Best friends forever, he laughed. Yup, and we still are, she said, as Parker came into the room with 3 plates. I just made hot sandwiches. Hope you don't mind. The steaks are still frozen, he said, as he set the plates in front of them. Wow, hot sandwiches. Could have just had cold, Sam said. Cold is what you can make. I'll do the hot stuff, he laughed. Very funny, she laughed. So, what are you two looking at? Oh, it's an album of us. I found it in Sam's old room. We took pictures of everything that year. Luke showed Parker the page of photos. How old were you? 16, Sam said. We were the coolest, she laughed. Nice bikini, he laughed. Hey, it was cool, back then. Yup, red and yellow polka dots, Luke laughed. Well, look at your plaid shorts, Sam laughed. Yeah, such a fashion statement, he said, as he took a bite of his food. Parker smiled at Sam and knew that she was slowly healing. This trip would do wonders for her and hopefully, the two of them. Sam noticed him looking at her. What? Nothing. The smile looks good on you, he beamed. Thanks. I do feel a little better. After we eat, I'll take you for a walk and show you the lake. It's beautiful out here. It sure is. I've never really been out of the city. Oh, you grew up in the city? Luke asked. I grew up in Long Island. My main apartment is in Manhattan now. 136. Manhattan? Luke asked. Yeah, the penthouse that we have was not my real home. I haven't really been back home in a long time. Sounds better than my dumpy apartment, Sam laughed. Yeah, that's what I don't get. Your parents were rich and you lived in that building. I mean, it wasn't horrible, he laughed. My parents were rich, not me. They didn't act rich, though. They had a nice brownstone on the Upper East Side, she said. Well, since they're gone now, aren't you and Dylan rich? Parker asked. And Luke? My parents practically raised Luke. Oh, we all are, I guess. I never talked to the attorney or anything. Luke smiled. I took care of that already for you. Your mother named me executor. Remember? Oh, right. I can't even balance my checkbook, she laughed. I'm not good with money. I can spend it, I just don't budget too well. You're kidding, right? Parker asked. Nope, she's not. I go to her place every month and help her pay her bills, Luke laughed. So, Parker, you have money. Not really. I mean, we do have the money we got from Morrison, but as far as I know most of that's in the safe at the penthouse. Part of it is, Sam said. The other money is in my bag. So, if you're not rich, how'd you get an apartment in Manhattan? My gram and I lived there. She always had it. It's bought and paid for, I just have to pay the co-op fees and my other bills. That's all. Yeah, I lived with my gram until she passed last year. You two must have been close, Sam said. Probably like you and your mother were, he said. How about that walk now? Sure, Sam stood up. I'll clean up here. I'm kind of tired. I'm going to lie down for a while, Luke said, as he picked up the plates. Sam took Parker's hand and the two of them headed out the door. 137. 138. Shame. Sam led Parker down to the dock on the lake. She sat down and he sat next to her. She took off her shoes and let her feet soak in the cool water. Come on, try it, she smiled. He took off his shoes and socks and let his feet soak. It's cold. You'll get used to it, she said, as she laid her head on his shoulder. It's so peaceful out here. How long has it been since you were here? Years, a lot of years. I think we should come here more often. She sighed. We're still a couple, aren't we? She asked sadly. Oh, yes. Definitely. I meant what I said. I love you, Sam. She looked up and gazed into his eyes. I'm sorry that I pushed you away. I love you. I'm just ashamed of myself. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I didn't know he treated his women like that. I'm so sorry. I guess he only does it in private. There were no guards or anything. It's something, the only thing he's done on his own, by himself, with no one else around. Once you're better, we'll figure out how to bring him and all his men down. I promise, they'll never hurt anyone ever again. I don't know if I can face him again. I can't get out of my head what he did to me. PK, I was blindfolded and I'm glad I didn't have to see, but I could feel it. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to hear about it? Only if you want to tell me, he said. She leaned up and kissed his mouth softly. I do. I just hope you don't see me differently. Nothing could change the way I look at you. I promise. When I woke up, I was tied to the bed. I told him he didn't need to force me, that I was willing. He untied me and made me stand in 139. The middle of the room. He undressed me and then just stared at me. I didn't know what to think at first. I'm not usually self-conscious about my body, but it was kind of creepy. He kissed me and then forced my hands behind my back, where he tied them again. Then he blindfolded me. He said since I had my way with him, he was going to have me his way. He said that he owned me. He threw me on the bed and starting licking me all over. All I could smell was his hot breath. He then told me to fight. So, I lifted my leg and kicked at him. When I stood up, he punched me. I spun around and kicked him again. He hit me and threw me on the bed and then he got on top of me. At first, he was just touching me. Then, I don't want get into that anymore. I wish I didn't remember. What did he do after that? He said I still needed to be broken in. He said he'd be back. I guess he got dressed and left. After he left, I managed to get the blindfold off and cut my ropes. I escaped out the bathroom window. Then you and Luke found me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I could have saved you, he cried. It's not your fault. It's not even my fault, I think. I don't know. I don't understand why he had to do that. I told him I was willing. PK, just because I said that, doesn't mean that I really wanted to have sex with him. I just thought if I said it, if I had to have sex with him, it would be uneventful. I could just lie back and pray for it to be over. But, she buried her face in her hands. I know, babe, I know. It's all right to cry. Just let it out, he said, as he gently rubbed her back. I'm kind of tired, she said, as she pulled her feet out of the water and put on her shoes. He put on his socks and shoes and helped her stand. Why don't you take a nap? It's been a long day. Do you mind sitting with me? No, if you don't mind, I think I'll lie down, too. No, I'd like that, she said, as she took his hand and led him back to the cabin. 140. Closeness. Luke looked up as Parker and Sam came into the kitchen. He poured them both a cup of coffee. We must have all been tired. It's morning already, he laughed. Sam, I'm going to head back to the city. I'll keep my eyes and ears open and will call you if anything goes down. Thanks, she said. Oh, Luke, you can contact Drew directly. Here's his number. I called him last night and told him you'd be contacting him. He did take Sam's car back to the penthouse parking garage. Okay, great, he kissed Sam's cheek. You're in good hands, love. I know, and thanks for everything. Oh, when you get back, will you check on Dylan? Definitely. I'll see you two soon. Let me know when you two decide to come back, he said, as he picked up his bag. I will, she said, as he left the cabin. Are you hungry? Parker asked. Not really. Coffee is good, she said, as she sipped her coffee. Parker shoveled the sugar into his coffee and stirred his spoon around the cup. She shook her head and laughed slightly. Quite a sweet tooth, huh? I guess. I don't really like coffee that much, he said. Then, why do you drink it? I like the caffeine in the morning. Gets me going, he laughed. She touched his hand lightly. There are other sources for caffeine, she said. I know, but I don't drink soda. I don't like tea, coffee is bearable, with enough sugar. You should try flavored coffee, she said, as she stood up. You won't need much sugar. Do you like vanilla? Yeah, why? She took his cup of coffee and dumped it down the sink. She 141. Rinsed out the glass and poured another cup. Then she scooped a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring to his coffee. Here, try this, she said. He stared at her and then the cup. Okay, he said, as he sipped it. Wow, this is good. I may not know how to cook, but I can make a great cup of coffee, she said, as she added it to hers. Very impressive. I could get used to this, he said. So, we never talk about it? I mean, it always comes up, but we never really discuss it. What is it? He asked, as he set his cup on the table. What's going to happen once Jack and his crew are gone? To be honest, I don't know. I know that Luke said he was working on helping, you know, getting the kills you did off the record. Yeah, he put me on assignment, as an undercover, so this won't backfire on me, she sighed. Good. That's good. It still doesn't help that I murdered 3 people, she said. I hope you know that you are very brave and strong. These kills won't come back to haunt you. Just in my mind, she said. I'm sorry. I'm slowly dealing with it. It's not easy taking someone's life, whether they deserve it or not. I know. I wish I could have been the one to do it for you. You just need more practice with your hand. That's all. Does it hurt when you grasp anything? Small things. Like a pen. I hate it because I'm left-handed. I try to write with my right, but it doesn't work too well. My handwriting is bad as it is, he laughed. I've seen your notes, she laughed. I could help you, you know. You want to help me learn to shoot again? Yeah, if you wanted to. There's a lot of trees out here and we could practice. If that's what you want, she said. Yeah, I do want. We'll use the handguns first. Parker, I'm sorry that I killed you, she smiled. He leaned in and kissed her mouth softly. It's all right, but soon, I'll be returning from the dead. All hell is going to break loose, she sighed. Yeah, but I'm more worried about you. If you can't face Morrison again, I'll take care of it for you. 142. I don't want to think about it yet. I'm not up for going after any criminals right now. Me either. I want you feeling totally better, he said, as he kissed her cheek. I'm sorry that I can't make love right now, she whispered. Don't apologize. You need time to heal. Not just your body, but your mind, too. I'll be here. No matter what, he said. Now, let's grab our weapons and see what you can teach me, he grinned. She stood up and hugged him tightly. I do so love you, she whispered. Let's go, babe, he took her hand and they walked out to the living room. She rummaged through her duffel bag until she found the handguns. Okay, let's do this, she said. 143. 144. Retraining. Parker gazed into her eyes and smiled. Okay, now what? Turn and face that old maple tree. The one with the holes in it? Yeah, That's our target tree. Just hold on. She walked over to the tree and pulled out a piece of chalk from her pocket. She drew 3 circles within each other. Okay, that's your target. She walked back over to him. First, I want you try to shoot with your right hand. I'm so clumsy with it, he said. She placed the .38 in his hand. This is lighter than the 9. Now, feel it and grasp it. Put your finger on the trigger. She stood behind him and held his arm. Aim and gently squeeze the trigger, she said. He pulled the trigger and the bullet flew towards the tree and hit the edge of the largest circle that she drew. Damn, he said. See? I can't do it. Yes, you can. Use your left hand to steady your right. She wrapped her arms around him and helped him grasp his right hand. Now, steady. Okay, go ahead, she said, as he fired again. See? Much better. I can do this. I know I can, he said, as he aimed again. All I need is you always to have your arms wrapped around me and I can shoot, he laughed. Very funny. Come on, try it a few more times. He fired off 4 more shots. Not so bad, I guess. Good. I'd keep the .38 in your ankle holster. Now, the 9 is going to be much harder. I know you usually use .45s, but let's try the 9 first. She took the .38 from his hand and handed him the 9mm handgun. It's really heavy, he said. I know. Now, we're just going to repeat what we did with the .38. Your hand will have to get used to the weight. All right, he said, as he followed her instructions and let off 6 shots in a row. All over the place, he shook his head as he aimed the 145 gun at the ground. She looked into his eyes. You're doing fine. Sam, I haven't fired a gun. I mean before this, in a year. I used my words or my fists to get out of a jam. I'm a useless agent and hitman. I can't even do either job. Listen to me, it's not about the gun. It's about you. You can do this. We'll work at it together. Until I got with you, I haven't been behind the rifle in 10 years. I always had my sidearm, but it had been a while since I've used it other than to clean it. Can't have a dirty gun. I know. I'm sorry I'm like this. It's just so frustrating. Does your left hand hurt? Not right now. It did steady the right pretty well. Well, do you want to try to shoot with it? I don't know. It's still stiff, he said. She took his left hand and started to massage it. She kissed the back of his and rubbed his palm lightly. I'll be right back, she said, as she hurried to the cabin. She came back a few minutes later with a bottle. She gently squeezed the lotion on her fingers and slowly rubbed it on his scar on the palm of his hand. What is that? It's a special lotion. I mix it up myself, she said. Does it hurt? No, it feels tingly. He opened and closed his hand a few times. It's not so stiff, he smiled. I know. I discovered that if I mix a few of my lotions, it helps relieve stiffness, and it does help scars fade and soften skin. Here, you can have it. Thanks, he kissed her cheek. So, are you ready to try again? Yeah, I think I can do this, he smiled, as she got behind him. I know you can do this, she said, as she wrapped her arms around him. He placed the gun in his left hand and used his right to steady the shot. He fired once, took a deep breath, and fired off 6 more shots. Wow, I did it, he laughed. Yes, you did. Bullseye, she hugged him tightly. Thanks, babe, you helped me more than you realize, he kissed her cheek. You helped me, too. Now, I'll step back and you continue to practice. If your hand starts to hurt, take a break. We don't want you to overdo it on your first day. 146. I'll be alright, he said, as he aimed and fired. They spent the morning practicing shooting the target on the tree. Parker couldn't believe how much better his hand was starting to feel. He never thought his hand would be or even feel normal again, and thanks to Sam, it was. She saved part of him, and she'd never realize how much. He just was determined to save her. All his practice, he just pictured Jack Morrison's face. He knew that was the ultimate target. The man who brutalized his lover. Yes, he loved her and she was the love of his life. He never knew what love was really about until he found himself with Sam, and he was never going to let that go. Even if she discovered all of his secrets, he was still going to keep her. 147. 148. Tenderness. Every day for a few hours, Parker and Sam practiced shooting the target. Parker was getting comfortable with the gun and owed everything to Sam. He loved her so much, and all he could do is watch as she suffered internally. He wished that he could help her as she had helped him. A couple of weeks went by and Parker still watched her struggle with nightmares and fear. He could tell by the look in her eyes when she stared at the flames of the fire, that she was thinking about what that Jack had put her through. He sat on the sofa and watched her as she sat on the floor, staring at the fire. He poured them both a glass of wine and handed her a glass. Sam. Oh, I'm sorry. Please, sit here with me, she patted the floor. He sat down next to her. What are you thinking about? How I haven't been fair to you, she sighed. Sam, I don't understand. You haven't done anything wrong to me, he said. Well, you know, I kidnapped you. I tied you up. I slapped you. I faked your death. I left you handcuffed all day to a chair. I got over that. I wasn't even mad about it. I know why you did that. I'm still sorry that I didn't give you all the details about it, he said. I forgave you. Then, all this week, you and we haven't made love. I want to, but I'm scared. Tell me. Why are you scared? I won't hurt you, but I won't push you either. I'm scared. I want to make love to you. I want to show you that I love you. I want to feel you close to me. I need to feel that. I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. I don't know if we started, and I had to stop, if I'd stop. Yeah, she put her head down. I would. Sam, if you want to try to make love, we can try. If you can't handle it, I'll stop. I promise. It's all right. 149. Are you sure? Yeah, you know, we could always do our first experiment, he grinned. What was that? You know, the one where we were getting comfortable with one another and see where it leads us. If you have to stop, then we'll stop. I think I could handle that. Could you? I mean, even if I wasn't up to, relieving you, she smiled slightly. If I have to do that myself, I can. Believe me, I've done it plenty of times, he laughed. Can I just hold you here for a little while? Yeah, I'd like that, she said, as he wrapped his arm around her. You're safe here and I'll always take care of you, just as you do for me, he kissed her cheek. You're the best, you know that, she grinned. I try, he said, as they gazed at the fire together. She took his hand and led him to the master bedroom. Okay. Time to get comfortable with each other, she said, as she unbuttoned his shirt. He smiled at her and never took his loving eyes off her. Yeah, like we're the only ones in the room. She leaned up and ran her hands through his dark hair. Sam, you are a beautiful woman, he lightly touched her scar on her forehead. Thank you, she said. He lightly touched her face and pulled her into a soft kiss. She gave into his passionate kisses. Sam, it's all right. Close your eyes and feel it. I know, she whispered. Okay, now, clothes off. Um, do we undress ourselves or each other? He asked. Each other, she nodded. I'll start with you, she smiled, as she slipped his t-shirt over his head. She lightly ran her hands down his chest and unzipped his pants. Okay, step out, she smiled. My turn, he asked. Yeah, go ahead, she said nervously. If you don't want me to. I do. Please, she said, as she took his hands and placed them on her chest. You do feel good. He slowly unbuttoned her blouse and slid it down her shoulders. He unhooked her bra and let it fall gently to the ground. He lightly ran 150. His hands down her hips and zipped her jeans. Slowly, she stepped out of him. He never took his eyes from her eyes. She gazed at him and hugged him tightly. Are you all right? Yes, can you hold me this close to you for a while, she cried. He scooped her up and carried her over to the bed and held her closely. How's this? Tighter, she said, as she held onto his arms that were wrapped around her. Is this better? He asked. Yeah, oh, are you sure you can wait? She said. Well, you turn me on, sorry. Yeah, I can wait, he said. I want you to get comfortable with me again. I don't want to do anything wrong. You aren't. Believe me, you aren't. You feel so good, she turned and faced him. Do you think I'm damaged? No. Never. I just don't want to hurt you. You're not, she leaned in and kissed him passionately. PK. Yeah, babe, he asked, as he kissed her forehead. Make love to me, she whispered. Are you sure? Yes, she said. Please, she cried. He wiped the tears from her eyes. No tears, babe. If you change your mind or it hurts, tell me and I'll stop. All right, she pulled him on top of her. PK, you feel so good, she moaned as he made love to her long and gentle. She was healing and he made her better. She had to get rid of her past feelings and move on, and she hoped that deep inside, she'd be able to do so. She knew one day that she may have to confront them, but she wasn't ready to do it, yet. Parker held her tightly, as she laid her head on his bare chest. Rest my love, he said, as he ran his fingers through her hair. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for letting me, he kissed her forehead. 151. 152. Homeward. Bound. Parker woke up to the sound of his cell phone ringing. Hello. Hey, it's Drew. What's the problem? I just got word. Morrison put a bulletin out on Sam, he said. Damn, all right. Do you know anything else? No, but Jack has been camped out at the penthouse. He put the word out to bring her to him alive and then he said he'd take care of her. He wants her for himself and wants everyone to keep their eyes out for her. Son of a bitch. What are you going to do? I'll let you know. I have a feeling we'll be back in the city soon. We have to make this end once and for all. Are you sure? It's the only way I can keep what is mine. It's the only way. Parker whispered. Let me know, Drew said, as he hung up. Sam slowly sat up. Was that the phone? Yeah, it was Drew. There's a problem, he sighed. What? I don't know how to tell you this, he said, as he got out of bed and started to get dressed. Just say it, she said, as she got out of bed. He took her hands and they sat on the bed. Morrison put a hit out on you, however, he lied. However. 153. He wants you brought to him alive so he can take care of you himself. Oh, where is he? Drew said he's been camped out at our penthouse. What? I guess he's waiting to see if you'll show back up. I don't think he just wants to kill you. I think. I think so, too. He never does the dirty work himself, unless it's personal. Nope. I'm sorry. I think we should go back to the city and take care of him once and for all. I just don't know how to go about doing it. Oh, we could use me as bait. I don't want him to hurt you again. The last time he knocked you out. Yeah, but after that I didn't realize what he was going to do, so I didn't fight as hard as I should've. Don't blame yourself. I don't. I know what we have to do. First, we have to take out his men. Then, we'll deal with Jack ourselves. Do you have a plan? Kind of. We'll need a list of all his places, you know, where all his men are located. I'll have Drew get that to us. I know of a few places. At the bar, it's usually Steve, Lloyd, Cal, and Tom. There are others that come in and out but only to drink. We hit the bar first, she said. Okay. What are you thinking? We need to take them by surprise. I have an idea and I'll need your help. Whatever you need, he said. I'm going to take a shower. Can you call Luke and tell him we'll be in the city this evening? Tonight. Yeah, we'll eat and pack up the car. We'll be heading back to the safe house. I'll call him. You take your time, he kissed her cheek as she headed into the bathroom. Oh, tell him I'll need my backup supplies, she said, as she stood in the doorway. Backup supplies. 154. He'll know what I mean, she smiled, as she closed the door behind her. This is going to be interesting, he said, as he picked up his cell phone. Sam looked over at Parker, who was driving. Do you think you're ready? Yeah, you taught me a lot. I can now use my hand. Don't worry. I won't let you down. I know you won't, and I'll try to not let you down, she leaned back in the seat. You never could, he said, as he patted her leg. So, what's these backup supplies? Nothing much. A few grenades, 3 automatic weapons, and some C4. You're going to blow up something. Only if I have to. First, we'll focus on the bar and the building behind it. We also have to make sure that Jack is at the penthouse when this all goes down. How do we do that? I'll call him and tell him I want to meet him, she smiled. Sam. I have to do this. We will also need to cut communications off at the penthouse after I make the call. I think Drew can do that remotely. Good. You know, someday, I'll have to meet this Drew. Yeah, you'll like him, but not as much as you like me, he laughed. He's your partner. Has been for 10 years. He's a level 3 with the Bureau. He knows almost everything that goes on. His specialty is communications, all that electronic and computer stuff, but he knows how Morrison's organization works. Sounds like you have a great partner. I haven't had a partner in a long time. You know. I really miss being a cop. I wish. I know. You wish you could go back to it, don't you? Yeah, but no more undercover work. I'm tired of trying to be something I'm not. I wouldn't mind working with special victims or something. You'd be perfect for the job. How come you never worked under Luke? 155. Computers and I aren't exactly on a first-name basis. I barely know how to check my email. Yeah, I know weapons and people, but computers aren't my thing. I always try to con Emily to type up my reports for me. Emily. She's the clerk at the station. She just can do it much faster. She laughed, as he pulled into the parking garage. Did she always do it for you? No, she shook her head. I had to learn to do it myself, she said, as they got out of the car. We can unpack later. Let's go upstairs and wait for Luke, he said. What time did he say he'd be here? She asked. Around 6. It's only 4 now, he took her hand and led her upstairs to the safe house. 156. Conspirators. Parker stood up when there was a knock on the door. "Oh, Drew, come in," he said. Drew walked in and smiled at Sam. "So, this is the lovely Samantha," he said, as he ran his hands through his blonde hair. She stood up and smiled and extended her hand. "It's Sam. Nice to finally meet you. Luke should be here soon." "Good," he said. "Have a seat," Parker said. "What'd you find out?" Drew opened his folder and placed a few pieces of paper on the table. "I have surveillance on the penthouse and he's still there, waiting for you." "Great," she rolled her eyes. "There are 4 business, his house, the building behind the bar and a housing development under construction. His men are dispersed between the 4 businesses and the development. The building behind the bar, are there any men there?" "No, it's a bunch of empty apartments." "Well, one isn't empty." "I think he used it for his trysts with his mistresses," Sam said. "Oh, all right. Does he have a new one?" "Yeah, me," she said. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize." "It's fine," she said, as there was a knock on the door. Parker answered it and there stood Luke. "Come in. Drew just got here." Luke walked into and sat next to Sam. He kissed her cheek. "I see you're better." "Yeah, did you bring everything?" "Yup, all in this bag," he tapped the duffel bag that laid at his feet. "Good. Drew, do you have the blueprints for the building?" "Yeah, hold on," he opened his binder and took out several pages. "This is what I have." 157. "This is perfect," she said, as she examined each blueprint. "Do you have an idea now?" Drew asked. "I think we'll need to sync up the takedown." "Do we have any other men?" "Yeah, I can pull in some agents." "Sam, I'm here for you, too," Luke said. She took Luke's hand and led him into the kitchen. "I don't want you to involved anymore." "Samantha?" "Why?" "I don't want to lose you. I can't risk you being hurt." "Samantha, I'm a cop. I do know how to handle myself." "I can't lose you," she cried. "I can't lose you either. You and Parker are going to need backup." "I'm your backup. I'll be with the 2 of you, backing you up." "Samantha, trust me." "I do trust you. You're the only one I can trust." "I'm sorry, I just don't want anyone to get hurt." "I have to ask." "Yes, if I get the chance, I am going to kill Jack." "I figured." "Samantha, I have to ask you something." "What is it?" "There's more to this Jack than you're telling me." "There is, and when you do find out, please don't be mad." "Tell me now," he crossed his arms. "I can't. I'm trying to deal with it all in my head." "Does Parker know?" "No, he doesn't." "Luke, I know he's hiding something from me. I don't know if it's important or just private." "How do you know?" "I just feel it. As for Jack, I have to deal with him, my way. I have to, when it's over. I'll tell you all about it. I promise. Now, please, let me deal with Jack my way." "All right. I promise." "Samantha, he hurt you," he sighed. "No, he didn't, at least not the way I said he did." "Samantha. Please, Luke. Remember what I told you from the beginning." "Yes, I thought things changed," he said. "Some did, some didn't. I have to do this my way or it will never end." "All right, I won't stand in your way." 158. She hugged him tightly. "All right," she took his hand and led him back into the living room. "Is tomorrow too soon?" she asked, as she sat down. "No, I can coordinate it all tonight," Drew said. "So, you 3 are going to hit the bar?" Yup. Well, I am, Sam said. Sam? I thought we were doing this together. Oh, we are. I'm just going to waltz in there and ask for Jack. Luke, you cover the front, and PK, cover the back. I'll be fine. Only if you wear a vest, Parker said. I will. So, tomorrow, say around 11, she said. Luke and Drew stood up. Sounds about right. I'll call you in the morning, Drew said, as he headed out the door. Luke touched Sam's cheek. I'll be here in the morning. You're not doing this without me. I promise, she said, as he walked out the door. Parker took her hand. Are you all right? I will be when this is all over with. I know, babe. So, what do you want to do now? Eat? I'm starved. I'll run downstairs and get a few slices, if you want. Sounds good. I'm going to get undressed, she said. When he came back upstairs, he set the pizza on the table. Sam. In here, she said. He walked over to the bedroom and smiled when he saw her lying on the bed, dressed in a lace teddy. Wow. I'm a wow. Definitely. Come here, PK, she reached out her hand to him. What's this about, he asked, as he took his shirt off. I want us to enjoy each other. I bought this for you, just haven't had the chance to wear it. Oh, it's very sexy. You look so good in black, he leaned over her and started to kiss her. May I, she asked. What, he asked. Take the lead. I want you to be loved by me. Do you mind? Not at all, he said, as he slid his pants off and kicked them on the floor. What do I do, he asked. 159. You've never not been in control, she grinned. Never, he said. She placed her hands on his chest and gently laid him down. I'll show you how it's done, she said, as she laid on top of his strong, tanned body and kissed him softly. Do you want me? She breathed hard. More than anything, he said. She slowly sat up and took his hands. Go ahead, you can touch me and I'll make love to you, baby, she whispered, as she made love to him. She curled up next to him. So amazing. Babe, you're incredible. I always knew you were, but that was a first for me, he smiled, as he held her close. You've always been in control. Yeah, but this was. I can't even explain, he kissed her softly. Good. We can take turns. To me, when we make love, it's about both of us feeling good. I don't want you to do all the work. Well, you know what I mean, I didn't mean work exactly, she laughed. I get it, he laughed slightly. May I hold you just like this all night? You couldn't tear me away, she said, but I am kind of hungry. I'll be right back, he got out of bed and put his boxers on. He headed into the living room and came right back with the pizza. Here, let's eat. Good. You'll need your strength, she laughed. 4. Oh, babe, we're going again after we eat, she said, as she took a bite of her food. I think I could get used to this, he kissed her cheek. Me, too, she hugged him. 160. Vengeance. Sam looked at Parker. Luke is going to drive the two of you to the bar. I'm going in first. Sam. I want to pick up my car at the garage first. What if his men are watching the garage? I want my car. I don't care who's watching. You two can pull up right behind it, but I want my car. All right, we won't argue with you, Luke said, as he came into the room. Are you ready? Let's do this, she said, as the three of them headed out of the building. Sam got in her car and watched as Parker and Luke pulled away. She kept staring at the door that led to the penthouse. No time like the present, she said. She got out of the car and grabbed her bag. She put her 9mm in her back waistband. She slowly headed towards the stairs. Parker slammed on the brakes and turned the car around. He sped down the aisle of cars and stopped. He jumped out of the car and grabbed her arm. "Oh, no, you don't." "What?" "I thought you trusted me," he said. "I do. I'm sorry. I just want it over with." "It will be, not this way, not yet. We have to get over to the bar." "Oh, all right," she said. "Get in." Luke demanded. "I'll take my car." "Not a chance," Luke said, as he lovingly pushed her in the back seat. She sat in the back and crossed her arms. "I wasn't going to." "Bull, and you know it," Luke said. "We knew you'd try something like that." "What were you thinking?" "Just that I can't wait until he's dead." 161. "Well, you're not going to kill him," Parker said. "Don't try to stop me," she said, as he pulled out of the garage. "Oh, I'm going to do it, not you." "I have a plan now." He sped down the road towards the razor's edge. "Parker." "Sam, just shush right now." "Damn you." I'm sorry. I didn't." "Sam, I love you, but what you just did really pissed me off. You're not allowed to do this crap on your own. You need us and we need you. Do you hear me?" he yelled. Aloud. "You don't own me." "I didn't mean that. You can't go off half-cocked without backup." "You're right. I'm sorry. It was stupid," she said, as he pulled across the street from the bar. "Now, what?" He handed her a cell phone. "Call Jack." "And say what?" "Tell him you're giving yourself up to him." "I don't know, whatever he says or wants, just go along with it." "What are you going to do?" "Just watch and learn, babe," he grinned. "Okay." She dialed Jack's number and waited for him to answer. "This is Jack," he said coldly. "It's Sam. I hear you've been looking for me. Where the hell have you been?" "I needed some time to think about what happened between us. I was just caught off guard. No woman of mine leaves unless I say so. Do you hear me?" he yelled. "I know. So, are you going to kill me?" "Of course not. You're of more use to me alive than dead." "I want you. Sam, you're a fighter and I like that. I promise, if you come back to me willingly, we can play your game, too." "Promise?" "Yes. I was wrong to do what I did. I am sorry. I just wanted to remember loving you." "It wasn't too hard, was it?" he asked, as his voice softened. No, of course not. I just like participating. That's all. I'm not used to ropes, just handcuffs." "Oh, you like the cuffs, huh?" "Yes, Jack, can we start over?" 162. "Yeah, Allure, we can. Where are you?" "I'd like to meet you." "I'm at your place. I've been waiting here for you." "I'll be there soon," she said. "Good. I have a surprise for you," he said, as he hung up. Sam stared at the phone. "I think I'm going to be sick." "What'd he say?" Luke asked. "That he was sorry and the next time, he'll have sex my way. He doesn't want me dead. He wants a play toy." "We'll get him," Parker said. "Okay, when I give the signal, jam the cell signals," he said, as he got out of the car. Sam and Luke watched as Parker approached the door. He put his thumb up and Luke pressed the button to jam the signals. Sam looked at Luke. "I have to get Jack alone." "I thought you were going to let Parker take care of him," he said. "No. I have to do it. I have to confront him on my own. If I don't, it'll never be over for me." "How do we do that?" Luke asked. I'm not sure, but if I have to sneak away to do it, I will. She leaned back in the car seat. Don't worry. I'll let you do this. I know there's more to it, isn't there? Yes, please, Luke, trust me, she cried. I do, sweetie. I do. Parker walked in and sat down at the bar. Steve walked over to him and shook his head. We heard you were dead, he said. Where'd you get that? That broad you used to come in with. Sam, I think, he said, as he handed Parker a beer. Nah, I killed that broad this morning. She was just trying to get into Jack's pants. She thought she'd have an easy way in if I was dead. Dumb bitch. So, where is Jack? Not here. I think he's waiting for her. You want me to call him? No, that's all right. Are the guys around? In the back, Steve said. Parker guzzled down his beer and looked around the room. He slowly reached into his pocket and pressed a bar of C4 against the bar. He looked into Steve's eyes. When Jack does come back, tell him that 163. I'm not dead and that I'm looking for him. He stood up. Of course. I'll see you later, he said. Parker slowly walked out of the bar. As he walked closer to the car, he counted to 3 on his fingers and Luke hit the button. Parker's body was thrown forward as the bar exploded into shards of metal, glass, and wood. Luke ran out of the car and helped Parker. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Are the others done? Doing it now, Luke pushed another button and the apartment building behind the bar imploded. Let's get out of here. Sam got behind the wheel and squealed down the street. What now? Your plan, Parker said. Oh, so, now it's my plan, she asked. I'm sorry about before. Damn, my back is burning. Luke turned around. You've got something in your back. Hold on. Sam, pull over. Sam and Luke got in the back with Parker. A piece of wood is in your back. You have to get to the hospital. Fine. Take me. It's killing me, he moaned. Luke, take him to the hospital. I'll handle Jack on my own. No, you can't, Parker winced. I'm doing it. Don't worry. I won't kill him yet. I'll save him for you, she said. Just go, she grabbed her bag and ran down the street before they could stop her. I'll take myself. Go after her, Parker said. I can't leave you like this. I'll call Drew on the way to the hospital, he said, as he got in the front seat and drove away. 164. Past truths. Sam walked into the penthouse and Jack came out of the kitchen with 2 glasses of wine. She smiled at him. So, I'm here, she said. He set the glasses on the coffee table and walked over to her. He kissed her softly. Allure, I meant what I said. Which was? I'm sorry about the way we made love. I want us to both enjoy it. You did, didn't you? Yeah, I guess, it's just not the way I think we should make love. Can we talk, Jack? Yes, of course, he said, as he pulled her towards the sofa and they sat down. I'm sorry that I left. I was caught off guard by you. I'm not used to be out of control in, well. I don't know what we are, she said. We can be so much together. I realize that now. I'm sorry I left, she said. You're here now. That's all that matters. You know, I do like this penthouse much better than that old apartment, he said, as he handed her the glass of wine. So do I. What are we to each other? I don't understand, he said, as he sipped his wine. Are we just lovers? Do I still work for you? What? Oh, I see. I think we could eventually be partners. I've never been with a partner before. I think you have a lot you could teach me and I could teach you a lot of things. Really? Yes, Allure, first things first, though, he said, as he ran his hands through her hair. Sex, right. First and foremost. That will always be our starting point. Yes, I understand, but sex my way, she said. I can handle that. I'm sorry that I hit you. 165. It's alright. No big deal. I've been hit a lot harder, she laughed slightly. Now, Allure. I can't wait any longer. She took his hand and led him to the bedroom. All right, my way, she said, as she kissed him hard on the mouth. She unbuttoned his shirt and pulled down his pants. She stood back and stared at his body. What are you doing? He asked. Wondering where to start first, she laughed. Oh, any ideas? He grinned. I have several. She walked over to him and ran her hands all over his chest. She kissed him long and hard again and ran her hand down between his legs. Oh, I see you are excited. Very, come on, woman, he said. I said my way, she said, as she walked over to the dresser and pulled out one of Parker's ties. She wrapped it around Jack's eyes. I'm returning the favor, she ran her tongue down his chest and back up to his face. She pulled her cuffs out of her back pocket and led him over to the chair. Sit. I like this game, but it's taking too long, he said. Just a little while longer. Aren't I worth the wait? She whispered harshly. Of course you are, Allure, he whispered heavily. She cuffed his hands to the arms of the chair. She unbuttoned her blouse and exposed her breasts. She ran her breast lightly over his mouth. Can you taste me? Let me do it now, woman, I can't take this much longer, he panted. She walked over to the bottom drawer of her dresser and pulled out the duct tape and a pocket knife. She carefully taped his feet to the legs of the chair. She ran her hands between his legs and squeezed him hard. Oh, come on, baby, release yourself. I want it inside you, Allure, he said, as he struggled. She pulled off his blindfold. I want you to watch now. What are you doing? I'm going to tease you for a little while. It will make it so much better, she said, as she removed her blouse. Do you want a taste? She asked, as she pressed her chest against his face. Slowly, he licked her breasts and then sucked on her nipples. You do taste so good. Come on, show me the rest. She unzipped her pants and slid them down her legs. She walked over to him. Can you feel it? 166. Yes, he said, as he stretched his hand out to feel her panties. God, you're so beautiful and sexy. I do love you, you know. I doubt it, she said, as she stabbed the knife into his leg. Ow! What the hell are you doing? I'm going to torture you. You're going to pay for what you did to me. What I did to you. You're just lucky I got your leg and not your damn ramrod. He looked down at his naked body as his leg bled. You can't do this, you crazy broad. Oh, don't tell me if I got on you right now, you wouldn't enjoy it? Then do it, woman. I see that even with the pain, you're still very excited. Is it me? Is it my body that's turning you on or is it your submissiveness? It's you. I can't help but look at that sexy body of yours. I want it. Now more than ever. Oh, so, pain does turn you on, doesn't it? Yes, more than you know, he grunted. She walked over to him and sat on his lap. How does that feel? She asked. Wonderful. Do it again. Come on, let me put me inside you. He said. You know you want it? She stood up and slowly got dressed. She threw a blanket on top of his naked body. You just don't get it? I get that I want you and I will get out of here and take you. Oh, really? She crossed her arms. You don't know me at all. Oh, I know you're a tease, he struggled. Sam, don't you know how much I want you? I'll treat you good, Allure. I swear. Treat me good. Yes, I treat you good. I treat you like a lady. She sat down in front of him. You raped me. I did not, he shook his head. I'm not a rapist. I told you I'd make love to you and, yet, you wanted to fight me. No, you wanted me to fight you off. I, I, I'm sorry. I told you I was sorry. You don't get it? I would have been with you and you still, hurt me. I'm so sorry, Sam. I've never met anyone like you before. I didn't mean to hurt you. That's not all you did. She unlocked the handcuffs and 167. Untaped his feet. Get dressed. He slowly put on his clothes and watched as she aimed her gun at him. Sam? What are you doing? Don't you want me now? He asked. She turned around. Jack, do you remember who I am? Do you know who I really am? Yes, I do, Lee. So, you remember and yet, you still hurt me? How could you do this again? Sam, that was 7 years ago. I'm sorry that things got in the way of us. She dropped on the bed and Jack sat next to her. Jack, I loved you back then but I never told anyone about us, and then, you left me for her. I know. You did find someone, didn't you? Yeah, but he died. You kept Kyle under your wing and you left me. Now, I find out that you killed my parents and you killed Kyle. Whoa. I don't know what you're talking about. Jack took her hands. Sam, I had nothing to do with your parents' death. How could you do that? I didn't. It was your brother. Kyle couldn't have killed my parents. He loved them, as I do. Jack put his arm around her. Sam, I know what I did to you back then, but I didn't hurt your parents. Yes, Lloyd was the one that threw Kyle off the roof. Well, technically, Kyle was still hanging when I found him. He slipped out of my hands. I'm sorry about that. I'm not an evil man, Sam. You still hurt me. How could you do that? Jack stood up and walked over to the window. Sam walked over to him and kneeled. Let me wrap that for you, she said, as she wrapped a bandana around his leg that was bleeding. He turned around and gazed into her eyes. Sam, you came back to me to kill me, didn't you? She nodded slightly. Yes, Jack. My plan was to kill you. I wanted you to die. I wanted you to pay for what you did to me. When I met Parker, all I could think about was making you pay. When did you know it was me? He turned and lightly touched her cheek. He kissed her softly. I knew from the minute you walked into the bar. I knew it was you. Back then, you called yourself Lee, and your hair was a lot lighter. But your face. Your beautiful face. I knew it was you. Allure, when you, then. 168. You killed Scott. I thought. You thought I wanted you back, didn't you? Yes, I did. When I saw you, I can't tell you how I felt. All those feelings, those nights spent together, came crashing in my head. Jack, I almost ruined my career because I tried to protect you. I've been angry with you for so long and, she walked over to the bed and sat down. Then, there you were. I wanted you dead. When I walked in your office, the reason I had Parker with me is because I didn't want the feelings of loving you to come back. Jack, I never stopped, but it killed me inside. Then. I thought you did all these horrible things to my family. When Parker and I met and he told me how he worked for you, I thought he'd be my way in to get to you. And then you killed Parker. The truth is, no, he's not dead. I faked those photos. I wanted to get closer to you, and if you thought that he was out of the way, it would work. Well, it did work. Sam. Why all these games? She buried her face in her hands. I fell for Parker. I can't explain why or how. It just happened. He took care of me. Where is he now if he's such a good man? Earlier, we kind of blew up the bar, she muttered. You did what? I'm sorry, she said. Sam, you are quite a woman, he sat down next to her. How did we get to this point? I don't know. I feel so conflicted. Jack, I was madly in love with you. I knew what kind of business you were in, but it didn't matter to me. I loved you. Then, you left me. When we were back, you hurt me. You know I would have made love to you. I just wanted to feel you one more time before I killed you. I needed to love you, one last time. I'm sorry. I know that sounds awful. Jack took her hands. Sam, I don't know how to make up for what I did to you. You're so important to me. You always have been. Then, why did you leave me? Parker slowly walked down the hall and stood outside the door when he heard them talking. I left for you, Jack said. You left for me? I loved you. She stood up and faced him. How is leaving me good for me? 169. Parker took a deep breath and wiped the tears from his eyes. Damn. She loves him. He's going to tell her about me, now. Jack stood up and put his hand on her shoulders. You loved your job. I didn't want to ruin your life. Allure, we never made our relationship public. You never even told your best friend or parents about me. I know. Maybe I should have, she gazed in his eyes. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. You should be forgiving me. I betrayed you this time. I wanted to kill you. I was going to kill you. I was going to torture you and kill you. Jack gazed in her eyes. I love you, Sam. I always have. You're right. I didn't. I shouldn't have hurt you. I never treated you like that before, and I know that you'll never be able to forgive me. I don't know where to go from here, she said. Do you still love me? He asked. Of course I do. I never stopped. I just don't know what to do. You were right. I'm sorry for the games. I should have just confronted you. I know that Parker used me, he used me to kill you. I'm such a fool. Jack, I don't know what to do, she cried, as tears streamed down her face. Jack lightly caressed her cheek and kissed her softly. Please, Sam, stay with me. Come back to me. I love you and I know you still love me. You just proved it. If you didn't love me, you wouldn't have tried so hard to hate me. We were always so good together. I am so sorry that I left. I'm sorry I hurt you. I love Parker. I don't know how you can love him. Who do you think helped Lloyd? What? She stared at him. He went with Lloyd to kill your brother. Yes, I sent them. After I found out what your brother did to your parents. I didn't want them to kill him, at least right away. I wanted them to bring him to me. I was going to find you, to let you decide. That is why I sent Parker to bring you to me. He's the one that changed the plans. Why did Kyle kill my parents? Money, I guess. Jack sat down on the bed. Why did you think I did it? Parker told me that you killed them. He showed me the yellow rose. 170. Yellow rose. Jack shook his head. I don't use roses for calling cards. I don't have the men use calling cards. I'm so sorry that I believed him. I heard you used roses. I couldn't believe that you did that. The only yellow roses I ever used were to give to you, he sighed. Sam, please, we have to work through this. Your anger with me is misplaced. I didn't hurt your family. I would never hurt anything you love. That's why I wanted you to decide about Kyle. If you wanted the police to deal with it, I would have let you take him in yourself. Sam looked up and noticed a shadow in the hallway. Tell me what you know, she said, as she placed her finger to her lips. She walked quietly over to the door. She reached her arm out the door and grabbed Parker, and pulled him into the room. She jammed her gun against his head. Move, she demanded. Parker put his hands up and walked over to the chair. Sam, what's going on? That's what we're all going to find out. Now, sit, she demanded. Jack smirked at Parker. Nice to see you, Parker, you know, not dead, he laughed. Shut up, Jack. No, you shut up. Where's Luke? Sam demanded. He went back to the safe house, Parker said. Sam took the cuffs and handcuffed his wrists to the arms of the chair. Jack, can you toss me the duct tape? Sure thing, he tossed it to her. Sam proceeded to tape up Parker's legs. She backed away from him. So, PK, tell me that Jack's lying. He is lying. He's a murderer, Parker said. Sam turned to Jack. Tell me, what is it with the two of you? Jack stood up. Sam, Parker is my brother. Sam's eyes widened. She glared at Parker and punched him in the face. You bastard. You made up a story about your grandmother being killed. You made up a story about having no family. Our grandmother is dead. She died of a heart attack last year. Jack said. Sam aimed her gun at Parker's head. He's not lying, is he? Parker shook his head. I never wanted you to find out. I love you, Sam. How can you trust him? He raped you, remember? And you said you loved me. You lied to me. You lied about your past. You lied about everything. She hurried over to her phone and dialed 171. Luke. Samantha, he grunted. Where are you, honey? Trunk. Do not trust. I'll be right there, she said. Jack, can you watch him for me? I can do that. Please, don't kill him until I get back. He hurt Luke. Your friend. My best friend. Please, don't leave. Jack walked over to her and kissed her softly. We'll finish this, don't worry, Allure. 172. Forward. Sam hurried out of the penthouse and ran down the stairs to the parking garage. She scanned the garage for Parker's car. Luke. Can you hear me? She cried. Sam, he cried. Sam picked up a nearby fire extinguisher and smashed the window in his car and pressed the trunk release button. She hurried over to the trunk. Oh, Luke, what did he do to you? He shot me. I turned and he missed my heart and hit my shoulder. I faked it until he threw me in here. Where is he? Honey, I have him tied upstairs. Jack is there, too. You didn't kill Jack, did you? Luke asked, as she helped him out of the trunk. No. Do you remember years ago, when you assumed I was seeing someone, but I denied it? Yeah, what about it? He asked. I was involved with Jack. Sam, why didn't you tell me? He said, as he leaned on her and they walked towards the elevator. Well, he's a criminal and I was a cop. He left me because he didn't want his world to interfere with my career. I was madly in love with him. What are you going to do? I want answers from both of them. Jack and I already talked about what he did to me. I had to make him realize how much he hurt me. Do you still love Jack? Yes. I've always loved him. It's just that the past year, I was so filled with hate because of what I thought he did. It wasn't him that killed my parents, it was Kyle. Parker and Lloyd threw my brother off the roof. I know. I got a report as they were checking out Parker's back. His prints were all over Kyle's leather jacket. He must have heard the officer and that's why he shot me, he said, as the elevator doors 173 opened. She opened the door. Jack. He walked out into the living room. Need help? Yeah, I need to fix his shoulder. Oh, is he still alive? Yes, he's alive, Jack said. Here, take off your jacket, he said, as he rolled up his own sleeves. I'll be back. I have to get the first aid kit. You must be her best friend, Jack said. I am sorry about my brother. He's your brother. Unfortunately. I wish I had known that he was going to betray her. He betrayed her the minute he met her. You probably know that I hurt her. I didn't mean to. I didn't realize what a monster I was until she made me realize it. I love her. I've always loved her. I just don't want her hurt. She deserves to be happy. Yes, she does, Jack said, as Sam came back into the room. Honey, this is going to hurt, she said, as she poured peroxide on his wound. Damn, that does hurt. I'm okay. I think it was a through and through. It was. Let me patch up both ends. You're going to be all right, she kissed his cheek. Luke touched her face. I'm sorry about Parker. I was so wrong about him. Me, too. I guess that's me, all over. Always trusting the wrong person, she looked at Jack. We still have a lot of things to work out. Do you still want me dead? He smiled. Not right now, she laughed slightly. I have to deal with Parker. You know, this isn't even my place. Oh, Luke, what about Drew? The takedown was all a sham. The only thing that got blown up was the bar and the apartment. There wasn't anyone inside. This whole thing is over, except we still have to find Parker's partner. He's out there, somewhere, and I don't know where. Sam looked at Jack. I am sorry about the bar, but, technically, I didn't blow it up. Parker did. I always wanted to rebuild, he kissed her cheek. Luke laughed slightly. Samantha, sounds like you have this under control. I'm going home. I'll put an APB out on Drew. You and 174. Jack have a lot of things to work out. I'm here for you, sweetie. If you need me, just call, he kissed her cheek. I will and thanks, she said, as she led him to the door. Jack sat down. So, he is the friend you were sleeping with. Yeah, he's a good man. I know he's a cop like I was. So, you really aren't a cop anymore. Can't be a cop when I killed 3 people, maybe 4, she looked towards the bedroom. I don't know what to do with him right now. He took her hands. Sam, I am on your side. I will be here for you. I promise. I won't ever hurt you again. What about your wife? My wife? I was divorced 2 years ago. I'm not married. I heard you had a wife and a mistress, that Alyssa Marshall that I killed. She wasn't a mistress, yes, I had her, once, but she stole from me, that's why I wanted her dead. How much? Over 200,000. She was skimming my books from the bar. How could I misjudge you, she cried. We'll work this out, if you want to. Do you? She touched his face. Yes, I do. Now that you're back in my life, and we're both finally truthful with each other. I need to make up to you how much I've hurt you. Sam, we need to talk. We need to open up to each other. You've been putting me off. I know you wanted to tell me, but I think Parker was in your way. What do we do now? Let me make a call. I have somewhere you can stay until you figure things out. The apartment behind the bar or what used to be the bar blew up, too. Oh, right. I have a house on the outside of the city. You can stay with me until you figure out what you want to do. If you decide to leave, I'll abide by your wishes. Is there anything here that is yours? Just my clothes and my money in the safe, she said. What about Parker? He will remain alive, for now. I'll have my men deliver him to my home. Don't worry. I will also find this Drew person. Do you know him? 175. If he is who I think he is, yes, he said. Can I trust you, Jack? Allure, if I didn't love you, I would have killed you for stabbing me, no matter how arousing, he smiled. I'm so sorry. I really should fix that up for you. Later, Allure. We'll take care of it later. Let's get out of here, he said, as he picked up his phone. Lionel, you and Simon are needed at the penthouse. My brother has been acting up again. I'd like him brought to the tea room. Yes, sir. Anything else? Tell Claudine to set up the extra suite. I'm bringing a guest home. Yes, sir, he hung up. Jack looked at Sam. Why don't you grab a few of your things? We can send for the rest later. Thanks, she said, as she headed into the bedroom. She stared at Parker, who was still cuffed to the chair. I love you, Sam. Please. I didn't mean to hurt you. You killed my brother. It was an accident. Besides, you did it. You let go of his hand. She walked over and punched him in the head, so hard that she knocked him unconscious. She opened her closet and grabbed most of her clothes. She picked up the photo of her parents and put it in the bag. She walked over to safe and removed the portrait. She opened the safe and grabbed all her money. She gathered her guns and dropped them all in the bag. She flipped it over her shoulder and headed out to the living room. She smiled at Jack. I'm ready. Can I follow you in my car? Of course, he said, as they headed out the door. As they walked to the elevator, 4 men came out of the stairway. They nodded to Jack and headed straight for the penthouse. Jack smiled at Sam. My men will take care of everything, he said. 176. Old Comfort. Sam stared out the large window of the guest suite in Jack's house. She lightly touched the glass as he walked in the room. Samantha. She turned around and smiled. Oh, I didn't see you there. Are you all right? He asked. I was just thinking, that's all. I'm okay. Well, maybe not okay. The man I loved, I wanted to kill, and now, I realize that I still love him. You. Then, another man, who I thought I fell in love with, betrayed me and lied to me. He killed my brother just so he could get me to kill you. He used me for his own purpose. He pretended he was FBI. He didn't pretend. He is FBI, Jack said. Really? Yeah, he's FBI. I know, my brother, the agent, but to be honest, a bad man with a badge is worse than a bad man who commits crimes. I know, she sat next to him. I am trying, really hard to forget. I don't know how I can make it up to you. Do you think revenge would work? I don't understand. Revenge. Do to me, hurt me like I hurt you. I did kind of stab you before. It felt pretty good when I did it. He smiled and shook his head. It did hurt like hell. Can I ask you something? Of course, he said. Why did you do it? Do you remember the very first time? She closed her eyes and nodded. Yeah, I cuffed you and threw you on the bed. I was rough with you, right? Yeah, and I thought. I know, bad idea, that, well. I wasn't sure if you remembered who I was. I thought you forgot about me. I was trying to relieve that. I am so sorry. I never want to hurt you. When we make love, that's what I want it to feel like. 177. I have to admit something to you. What's that? The first night, I dosed your wine with cough syrup. We didn't sleep together. I just pretended that we did. I know, he smiled. You knew and you played along. Yeah, I thought you had something up your sleeve and I was still alive, so I figured I'd find out soon enough, and I did. Sam stood up. What do you want out of us? I want to be with you. I'd give up everything to be with you. I'd be content with just running my bar, if I had you by my side. Of course, I have to rebuild it. I'll pay for it to be rebuilt. I'm glad that no one got hurt, though. Me, too, Samantha. I'll let you rest. I'll see you in the morning. He stood up and went to leave the room. Sam grabbed his arm gently. Wait, she took a deep breath. He looked into her eyes. What is it? I love you. I'm sorry that I was stupid enough to fall for Parker. I'm sorry I ever laid eyes on him. I'm sorry that I ever had sex with him. She wiped the tears as they streamed down her face. Jack, I want to be with. Are you sure? Yes, I want you. He pulled her close to him and kissed her passionately. Samantha, no more teasing, he smiled. No more teasing, she cried. Allure, I'll always treat you with love and respect. I just want you so bad, he said. I want you, too, she said, as she closed the bedroom door and locked it. Would you really give up your world for me? There would not be much to give up. The money is here. The businesses can go. We'll rebuild the bar. I never want to let you go again. Honey, when I said I owned you, I didn't mean that I owned you. I hate how I treated you. I just want the chance to show you, remind you of how we were. Remind me, she whispered. He scooped her up carefully and laid her on the large king-sized bed. He laid next to her and held her tightly. I do so love you, Allure, and I've missed you. I missed you, too. No one was ever you, she pulled him close. 178. To her. He slowly unbuttoned her blouse and ran his hand down her chest lightly. Even when you were teasing me, you enjoyed it, didn't you? Yes, it brought me back to the way we were. This is the way we can always be, he whispered, as he kissed her neck. I'm sorry for hurting you, she said. And, I'm sorry for hurting you. I won't ever hurt you again. I love you, Allure. Do you remember, the night out on the balcony? I'll never forget, he kissed her wanting mouth and rolled over on top of her. I will always love you and treat you like you deserve. Show me how much you've missed me, she whispered, as he made passionate, gentle love to her. The past few months were a betrayal, but her love erased the hate she once felt for this man. Her hate was misplaced. Yes, he hurt her, but she understood the reasons and she even hurt him back. It wasn't about the past anymore. It wasn't about the betrayal of Parker. She thought in the back of her mind, that if she could she'd rub it in Parker's face, she definitely would. He was the bastard. Pretended to be what he wasn't, whereas, Jack was never fake about who he was. Yes, there was that day, but it wasn't rape. Yes, it was a little rough, but it slowly was erased from her mind and all she wanted to be was here, in his arms, with the man she loved deeper than her own soul. 179. 180. Lifetime. Sam woke up in the bed alone. Oh, she whispered, as he came into the room. You're still here. I didn't leave you. I just took a quick shower, he said, as he dried his hair. She took his hand and kissed it. I thought for a minute. I remember. I used to leave in the middle of the night. First, it's my house. I can't leave, he laughed slightly. And second, I won't leave you again. I so want to believe you. I've just been trusting the wrong people. I thought I loved Parker. I know, and maybe you did, but he pretended with you. I never pretend. I am sorry about hurting you. I won't do that again. Sam, I want this to work this time with you. I love you and I don't ever want to lose you. And, I like Sam much better than Lee. Where did the Lee come from? I'm technically Samantha Lee. I know I had you call me Lee. Jack, I was undercover when you and I met. I know, eventually, you knew that. When I lost you, I thought that you didn't love me anymore. I was promoted to detective soon after that, and Dylan and I were in an accident. I heard about that. I am sorry about Dylan. Sam, I didn't want to ruin your life. I thought I was being selfish. I knew you were up for that promotion. You were a damn good cop. I know why you loved it so much. You loved putting the degenerates behind bars. You loved the adventure. I didn't want my life to touch yours. I understand now. I wish you would have told me. Jack, I would have chosen you, we'd still be together and I would have never fell for all the lies that Parker convinced me of. He made me think that he loved me and that I could trust him. Where is he, anyway? In the tea room, tied up. He'll be there until you're ready to deal with him. Are you hungry? A little, she said. I'll have Claudine prepare something for us, he smiled. 181. Sounds good. Anything you want sounds good, except. I know, no caviar. I remember, he picked up the phone. Yes, please prepare the special dinner now. Thank you, he hung up. Special dinner, she smiled. You'll see. There is another thing I wanted to talk to you about, he said, as she grabbed her robe and put it on. What? Is something wrong? No, I wanted to tell you. I thoroughly enjoyed your teasing. You know, when you cuffed me to the chair. I would have enjoyed it more if you followed through instead of stabbing me. I am so sorry about that. How is your leg? It's fine, Allure. It's fine. You didn't stab it too deep, he kissed her cheek. I just wanted to tell you that, in case you ever wanted to do that again, he said, as there was a knock on the door. I'll keep that in mind, she flirted. He opened the door and rolled in the dinner cart. Thank you, Claudine. You may retire for the evening. Thank you, sir, she said, as she closed the door. He pushed the cart over to the bed. Oh, don't get up. You just relax. I just had her prepare a little something for us, he lifted the tray and smiled. Do you remember? Our first meal, she laughed. Yeah, hard-boiled eggs, potato chips, and of course, shrimp on a tossed salad. If I remember, that's all you had in your cabinet. Well, I still can't cook. I order out a lot, she laughed. Well, I also had my best bottle of Chardonnay sent up. You still like white wine, right? Yes, I do. I still like my beer now and then, too. He rolled his eyes. Yeah, I know. Oh, just because you're so refined. You own a bar but you don't drink beer, she laughed. I don't like beer. You don't like beer because it's in a bottle. You should try it. You don't know if you like it unless you try it. Drinking from a bottle never had any appeal to me, he said, as he took a bite of his food. You should try it. At least once. I got it, go ahead. Swig from the bottle. You can't be serious, he laughed. I'll do it, if you do, she smiled. Are you daring me? 182. Yup, I can always tease you if you don't, she flirted. He picked up the bottle of wine and shook his head. Oh, what the hell, he said, as he swigged the wine from the bottle. See, it wasn't that bad, was it? I guess it was all right. You have to do it a certain way, she said, as she took the bottle from his hand. She lightly ran her tongue around the opening of the bottle and slowly slid it into her mouth. She tilted her head back and swigged gently. She pulled it out of her mouth and went to wipe the wine that dripped down her chin. "Oh, let me," he said, as he kissed the wine off her chin. "You're right. You're so much better at it than I am," he kissed her cheek. "I could teach you a few things," she smiled. "You have, and I know there is so much more to learn from you." He laid down on the bed and leaned his head on his hand, as his elbow balanced him. She laid down next to him and touched his face. "I feel like we've always been together. We will always be together. I love you, Samantha. You're such a beautiful, sexy, and loving woman. I don't want us to be ruined by our past." "Neither do I," she smiled. "Will you stay in here with me tonight?" "I'd be happy to," he kissed her mouth softly. "I'll do whatever you want. Just always be honest, always love me, and always look at me the way you're looking at me now. You do the same and we'll be just fine." 183. 184. Resolution. Jack watched as she slept peacefully. He closed his eyes and laid back into the pillow. "I wish I never hurt you. I will make it up to you. I love you, Allure, and I've loved you for so long. I won't allow the life to hurt you anymore. I'm done." His mind drifted back in time and the love in his heart for her grew more and more as he remembered their past. Jack watched as she slept. He lightly kissed her cheek and touched her tattoo that was on the small of her back. "I love you, Allure. I don't ever want to be without you," he whispered as she opened her eyes. "What are you doing?" she smiled as she rolled over. "Just watching you, Allure," he smiled. "Why do you call me that?" She lightly touched his face. "Because you are so alluring. I love you and I want to always be this way." He kissed her. "I love you, Jack," she held him close. "I love you, too, Lee. I need to be with you. I hate that we're keeping this between us," he sighed. "So am I." "I'm sorry, is it time?" she asked. "I don't know. I want you to always be protected." He slowly sat up. "I have to go now," he said. "Please, stay the night," she cried. "I can't. Jack, make love to me again, please, before you go." She held out her hands. Now, how could I resist those beautiful dark eyes? He laid back in the bed and held her close. He opened his eyes and saw her smiling at him. "Morning. How did you sleep?" He kissed her forehead. "Wonderfully," she hugged him tightly. "I told you I'd be here when you woke up," he kissed her mouth. "Yes, you did and you are," she held him tightly. "I think I have 185 to deal with Parker, but I just don't know how to handle it." "You want to rub us into him, don't you?" "In a way, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea," she said, as she sat up. "You deal with him however you see fit. If you need my help, I will be here. I have to make some calls for the bar today. I want to build it as soon as possible. You should make it twice the size and have food served." "Really? Never thought about that," he said. "Oh, yeah, on the bar, serve, well, bar food, like wings or whatever, even have popcorn, pretzels, or chips on the bar, but also serve simple lunches and dinners. You know, like hot and cold sandwiches, maybe even pizza." She smiled. "You and your pizza," he laughed. "Can't help it. I love it. But, I'm sorry. It's your bar. I didn't mean to imply anything." He took her in his arms. "Would you become my partner? You were serious, weren't you?" "What do you mean?" "Before, you said you wanted us to be partners. I thought you just meant just lovers." "Yeah, sex partners." I always wanted more. I'd like you to buy into the bar, that is, unless you're going back to the force. I can't do that. I can't go back. Even though Luke fixed those murders that I committed, I wouldn't feel right about it. I don't know anything about running a bar. I can't even balance my checkbook. Do you have an accountant or something? No, I handle the books myself now. I have gotten pretty good at it. Oh, right, you do have that degree in business management. Yes, I use it more than I thought I ever would. Well, she got up and sat on his lap. The only thing that we'd have to do. I mean if we're partners. What's that? Stop killing those who piss us off, she smiled. Oh, if that's what you want, he teased. I think we can run an honest business. We both have money and don't have to worry about anything. I do still have to take care of Dylan. 186. I know. How is he anyway? Oh, I have to check on that. Parker knew where he was. He better not have hurt my other brother. I doubt that he did, but I can look into it for you. If he did, I will kill Parker myself. Do you have a problem with that? She asked. No, that's fine. It would be your last kill, he kissed her softly. Do you know what you're going to do with Parker? Not yet. Why did you keep him around if he was such an ass? To keep an eye on him. I like knowing where my brother is at all times. You can do what you wish with him. I still have to face the liar. Oh, I wonder if Luke caught his friend, she said. Sam, do you want to stay here? I mean, live here? Yes, do you? I don't know. I do really love this bed, she smiled, as she ran her hands over the mattress. Well, the bed is yours, wherever you want to live. I don't want to be without you, but your house. I know, it's too big. Yeah, it's very big. Then we can build us a new home, if that's what you want. Allure, I'm going to spoil you and love you. I will do whatever it takes to make you happy. Just remember our promises we made last night and we'll always be together and happy. She laid down on his stomach and hugged him tightly. I could hold you like this forever. Promise me that this isn't a dream. He ran his hands lightly down her back. It's not a dream. I promise you that. He held her tightly. She slowly sat up. I think I'm going to take a shower. I'll get us some coffee, he said. Oh, and if we move into our own home, no servants, well, except for a cook, she smiled, as she headed into the bathroom. If you insist, he smiled, as he leaned back into the pillow. 187. 188. The tea room. Sam dried her hair and got dressed. She headed into the bedroom and put on her shoes. She headed out into the hallway, where Jack was standing, looking over the railing. Is something wrong? No, do you want to see him now? Yeah, I want to get it over with, she said. He took her hand and led her down the stairs. He's in the tea room. It's down the hall. Do you want me to take you there? Yes, and I was right, this house is way too big, she smiled. Tea room, she laughed. Yeah, it's a tea room. I have my grandmother's collection of teacups in there. That's about it, except for a few pieces of furniture. Tea room. She kissed him softly. Then, in our new house, we'll have a tea room, too. Are you sure you're ready? Jack, something is bothering you. Tell me. I didn't mean to tease you about the house. He touched her face. You were right. It is way too big. My life meant nothing unless you were in it. I will never forget how I hurt you. She wiped his tears. Don't. Please, we're past that. Last night was so amazing and loving. You're a very loving man. You just needed someone like me to show you that you can be that way. You're so right, he said, as he opened the door to the tea room. He held her face and kissed her softly as Parker watched. Go on. If you need me, I'll be right there. Thank you, she said, as she headed into the room and faced her betrayer. She looked at the man who stood over him. Who are you? Number 2, he said. What's your name? She asked. Lionel. I'm Sam. I know who you are. I'm glad that you're here. Where you 189? Belong. You think I belong with Jack? She smiled. I was the only one he trusted enough to talk to about you, he smiled. I am glad you're here. This man hurt you. Yes, she said. What do you want with him? Lionel asked. Untie him and please leave. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, she said. He did as instructed and then left the room. She glared at Parker, who looked up at her. So, what are you going to do? Kill me, too. I thought about it but, no, I'm not. I want you to tell me why you did all this. I fell in love with you. You fell in love with me. Remember what we meant to each other. All that crap was a lie. I can't live a lie with you. You lied to me. Tell me the truth or I will beat the living crap out of you. He stood up. You couldn't hurt me. You love me, he said softly. She punched him in the face and he grabbed her arms. He pulled her into a strong kiss. She lifted up her knee and kneed him in the groin. Sit down and don't ever touch me. You don't know what love is. Love is when you're truthful. You're sleeping with your rapist. How stupid is that? She shook her head. He didn't rape me. I lied. You lied. I saw the bruises. I like it rough sometimes. That's all. It got a little rougher than normal. Why'd you kill my brother? He was going to tell you that I was a dirty agent. So, that's why he came to my place that day. Yes, we followed him. I didn't expect him to hang on that long, but then, you were unable to save him, he laughed. I'm much stronger now, you know. Yeah, you're a killer now. And so are you and I taught you how to be one again. You can thank the use of your hand for me. I do appreciate everything you did for me. Sam, I do love you. At first, I wanted to use you, yes, to kill my brother. Why? What did Jack ever do to you? He has everything and I have nothing. He has power and money and women. I had nothing. I wanted what was his. Did you know that Jack and I were involved 7 years ago? 190. No. I didn't know until I heard you two talking. I figured he had told you what I did. I don't know what to do with you. Lies. You killed me inside. You broke my heart. You betrayed me. I don't forgive betrayal. You and I will never be anything, ever again. What's Jack going to do with me? He left it up to me, she said, as he stood up. Sam, please, you loved the way I made love. You said you never felt that way before. I hadn't. I never felt like this before. I tried to get past my love for Jack, first, with Ed and then, with you. By the time you and I were together, I was so hell-bent on hating Jack, that I enjoyed being with you. Now, I see you for who you really are. You're pathetic. You not only betrayed me. You killed my brother. You shot my best friend. No one touches my family. You're with Jack again, aren't you? Yeah, and I'll always be with him, as long as he keeps his promises and I keep mine. I am my own woman. You never owned me. Jack doesn't own me. The one thing about Jack is that he never lied to me about who he was. He loves me and I love him. I've loved him for a long time. I just thought a long time ago, that I was never getting him back. Now that he's back in my life, I'll do whatever I can to keep him with me. What about me? You? That's all you care about, she shook her head. I hate betrayal. You are so lucky that I don't have my gun right now. I just want to kill you for what you did to me and Luke. Take your best shot, he snapped. She turned towards the door and then spun around. She kicked him across the room. He flew into the wall and landed on the floor. She walked over to him and kicked him in the chest. I should have let you bleed to death on the balcony. Now, I know why he wanted you dead. You're nothing to me. If Jack wants you around, that's his business, but if you ever touch me, talk to me, or even look at me, I won't hesitate to kick the crap out of you, she said, as she headed towards the door. Jack was standing in the doorway, smiling at her. Feel better? Much. I didn't break any teacups. They are very beautiful, she smiled. I'm hungry. I guess I worked up an appetite. There's some food in the kitchen. Go ahead. I'll be right there, he said, as he kissed her softly. She headed down the hall and he went into the room. 191. He stared at his brother. Stand, he said. You knew it was her, when you sent me for her, didn't you? Yes, I did. I hadn't seen her in a long time, but after what Kyle did, I was going to tell her. You weren't supposed to kill him. You were supposed to bring him to me so she could deal with him. You're such a loser. Always have been. You know, if I knew you were going to sleep with her, I would have killed you before you got the chance. Jack, I love her, too. Yes, and look at how you showed her. I know that I hurt her once, but I didn't mean to. I never lied to her. I was always truthful with her. You, on the other hand, you have no honor and no loyalty. What are you going to do with me? You have two choices, he smiled. Which are? Parker crossed his arms. You can work in the bar as a bartender or you will die. You choose, he smiled. Bar? I blew it up, he said. It is being built as we speak. In a few weeks, the Razor's Edge will have two owners. You not being one of them. Sam. Yes, isn't that wonderful? We're together. Last night, we made passionate love and the best part of it is because we truly love each other. I may not do a lot of good things, but now that I have her back in my life, I'm changing my life around. You should have thought about that. Maybe you wouldn't have lost her back to me. Death or bartending? Yes, since you blew up the bar, Steve quit. I guess it was a little too close for him. Such a wuss. I'll bartend, I guess. Does she know? Why? She threatened to kill me if I even look at her, Parker said, as he put his hands in his pockets. I will tell her. Don't piss her off and don't touch her or I will kill you. Do you understand? Yes, I do. You are lucky. Why? Because you didn't kill me. No, because she didn't, he said. Go now. Oh, by the way. Your friend Drew. He's dead, isn't he? 192. Yes, and you'll never find him. I figured as much. I can go. Leave, but you will be watched, he said, as Parker left the house. 193. 194. Backshot. Sam looked up from the table as Jack joined her. You let him go. He'll be working at the bar as the bartender. It was that or be killed, he smiled. Oh, well, all right, she said. Let's concentrate on us. I want us to do it right. So, what do we do first? Well, I'd like your help designing the bar. You're the one with all the ideas. I already made some calls and they're clearing the debris out now. Really? Yes, Samantha, we're in this together. I hope you don't mind that I hired him. No, you can deal with him mostly, though, right? Yes, don't worry. If he bothers you, I'll take care of my brother once and for all. I appreciate it. I feel like I can finally take a breath. These past few months, I've been lost and betrayed. I guess it's still hard to believe that we're together again. I missed you and now, you're back in my life. It's alright. I understand. This is new to me, too. We're both changing our lives. It's a big step. We'll do it together. It's a whole new life and I guess I'm a little afraid. Of what? What will happen? I don't want our lives to become uneventful because of our so-called new life and I don't want our old lives to come back and haunt us. Well, let's do it this way. We'll plan the bar and plan our new home, and then you and I will take a vacation. Some place where we can be alone with no worries and just get to know each other all over again. We can talk or just sit and hold each other. Whatever we want to do. I want to know who you are right now. I'd like that. We could go to my cabin, unless you don't want to because I was there with Parker. 195. I heard you taught him how to shoot again, he sighed. Yes. I didn't realize it was a mistake. It's not a mistake. It was. He shot Luke. I'm sure Luke is all right now. Speaking of Luke, I'd like to get to know your best friend. I also would like to finally meet Dylan. Oh, did you call? He's all right, isn't he? Yes, he is. How bad is he? He doesn't do much except stare out the window. He knows when I'm there, though. Good. You should go see him. I probably should. Maybe I'll do that today. I just hope that Parker doesn't follow me. I have a man watching him. Oh, that Lloyd person. He's been dealt with. I am sorry. Don't be, she kissed his cheek. I need to grab my bag and then I'll head to see Dylan. Soon, I'll bring you to meet him. I'd like that, he said. She headed up the stairs and grabbed her bag. She hurried down the stairs and out the front door. As she was getting into her car, she heard a click from behind her, bang. She dropped to the ground as Jack ran out to the driveway. He stared at his brother as he rushed to her side. Samantha, he wept as he held her body. She looked up at him. My back, he got me in the back, she cried. Jack looked up at his man. Lionel, take him and call an ambulance. Yes, sir, he said. Jack held pressure on her back while he held her close. Don't leave me. Please, don't leave me. I finally got you back. It hurts, she cried. I can't catch my breath. I know. I'll take care of you. Where the hell is that ambulance? He cried, as the sirens sounded in the distance. The EMTs rushed over to her and took her out of Jack's arms. Take care of her, Jack said. We will, sir. We're bringing her to Mercy General. I'll be right there. Oh, please call a Captain Lucas Ford. He's a captain of computer crimes at the 46th Precinct. He needs to be there. Yes, sir, he said, as they loaded the gurney into the ambulance. 196. Jack walked into his house. Lionel? Where is he? In the tea room. Give me your gun, he said. Sir. He shot her. No one hurts her, he said, as he took the gun out of Lionel's hands. He stormed into the tea room and glared at his brother. He aimed the gun at him. Parker looked up at him. I didn't mean to shoot her, he said. Liar. You can't have her, so you kill her. She's dead. Yes, you killed her. You killed the one woman I ever loved. You are going to die now. Please, don't kill me. Please, don't. He aimed, fired, and left the room. Jack walked out into the hallway. Make sure no one goes in there. Is he dead, sir? Lionel asked. No, but I'm sure he wishes he were. I'll be at the hospital. All right, sir. I hope she gets better. So do I, Jack said. Oh, you better get my brother a towel, and call Dr. Edmonds. He'll know how to help my brother. Are you sure? Yes, Samantha will deal with Parker later. I will be at the hospital. Jack hurried out to his car and drove away. 197. 198. Helpless. Jack rushed down the hallway. Where is Samantha Lange? He asked the nurse. She's in with the doctor. You can wait in the waiting room with her friend. He headed into the waiting room and looked at Luke. Any word? No, what the hell happened? Parker shot her in the back. She was leaving to go see Dylan. I came from seeing him. He's alright. He's been asking for her. Damn. I should have went with her. Don't blame yourself. She needs us to both be strong for her. You do really love her, don't you? Yes, I do. I'm changing my life for her and she's doing the same for me. I let her go once and I won't do that again. Did you kill him? No, just made him suffer. Jack buried his face in his hands. She's strong, Luke said, as the doctor walked into the room. The two men stood up. Are you two with Samantha? Yes, how is she? Jack asked. We're taking her up to surgery. The bullet punctured her lung, but she's strong and healthy. Is she on any medication? She was put on antibiotics a few weeks ago, Luke said. Right. I saw her chart. She injured her stomach, he said. She was raped, Luke said, as he shifted his eyes towards Jack. That's not what the chart says. Oh, I see, yeah, she refused the rape kit, all right. I understand now, he said. What is it? Jack asked. Please, tell us, Luke said. She told the doctor it was rough sex but to keep it quiet. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Was it rape? Jack gulped. 199. I don't know. I only know what the chart says. You'll get a chance to talk to Samantha before she goes upstairs. Follow me, he said. Jack looked at Luke. I know that I hurt her. I won't ever do that again. I was so wrong and I'm going to make it up to her. Did she make love to you? Yes, beautifully. Then she forgave you. But, she told me that it wasn't rape. Yes, she said you hurt her, but she wasn't talking about that, he said. Come on. Let's go. They headed down the hall and walked into her room. She smiled lightly at her two favorite men. I'll be fine, she whispered. I know you will, Jack kissed her cheek. You need to focus on healing so we can move ahead with the plans. Don't wait for me. Just do it. I trust you. I love you, Allure. Please, just get better. I will. You didn't kill him, did you? No, but I did shoot him. Where? Where he'll never have another lover again, he said. Good, she said, as the orderlies walked into the room, followed by the doctor. She'll be in surgery for a few hours and then in recovery. Once she's brought to her room, I'll let you know and you can be with her then. Thank you, doctor, Jack said, as they wheeled her out of the room. Jack looked at Luke. Are you staying? Yeah, just until I know she's out of surgery and is fine. I have to do something, but I'll be back. What are your plans? We're becoming partners in the bar, he said. Please, call me if you hear anything before I return. I will, Luke said, as he headed down to the waiting room. 200. Healing. Samantha woke up and noticed Jack, asleep, with his head on her bed. Jack. He looked up quickly and smiled at her. Allure, how are you feeling? Very sore, but I'll live. I know you will. I've been sitting here watching you sleep. You're so beautiful. I thought that he took you away from me again. I couldn't bear to lose you. You're not going to. No bullet or man will ever take me away from you. You'll have to stay in here for a few days, but when you get out, our house will be done. So fast? How? I have men working night and day. I had the debris from apartment building that was behind the bar cleared and we're building a real house, a home there. Really? Her eyes lit up. I figured since we'll be concentrating on our bar, that we should live close by. Sounds perfect. I want to help decorate, if that's all right. Of course. I let the entire staff go at the house, except for Claudine. I hired her to be our personal cook. She will only work in the evenings for our dinners. Lunch and breakfast we'll have to take care of ourselves. That's fine. Oh, is Luke still here? He's asleep over there. He loves you very much. I know, and I love him, too. He's a good man. I like him very much. I know why you love him so. He lightly touched her cheek. I need to ask you something. What is it? When I hurt you, you didn't have an exam, why? Even though I said the words. I knew you could never rape 201. Me. I knew. I don't know how, that it was rough but not rape. I'm sorry I called you a rapist. Because of my hate and anger, I turned a rough passion into rape. I'm sorry. I was more upset with the way my feelings were turned inside out. I will never hurt you again. I'm so sorry that I hit you and made love to you that way. I won't ever hit you again. I promise. I don't want to lose you ever again. He kissed her mouth softly. Now, you close your eyes and rest. I want to look at you. I'm afraid if I go to sleep you'll be gone again. I won't leave you. When you come home, I will take care of you. I'll hold you and just love you. I can't be without you ever again. No more eliminations. No more dirty deeds. Our bar, our home, and our life will be on the straight and narrow. We can still play our games, right? She raised her eyebrow up and down. Of course. I can't wait until you tease me again. I am sleepy, she said. That's the morphine. You just rest and I'll be here with you until you come home. I won't leave your side, he whispered, as she fell asleep. For 3 days, Jack sat at her bedside and held her hand. He knew she was getting stronger and couldn't wait to take her home. It was finally over and they could start their new life together. Parker had been dealt with. He may limp now, but he knew to never hurt Samantha again. Jack and Luke followed the nurse as she wheeled Sam out of the hospital. Jack helped her into the car and turned to Luke. You're welcome to follow us. I think you should see it, too. I'd like that. I'll be right behind you, he said. Jack drove for a few miles and pulled over. Samantha? I want to blindfold you, but if you're not comfortable. It's all right. I trust you, she said. He put the blindfold around her eyes and then continued driving. When he stopped the car, he got out and opened the car door and helped her out of the car. Ready, he said, as Luke pulled in the driveway next to them. He slowly removed her blindfold and she gazed with awe at the 202 beautiful house that was in front of her. It's beautiful, she cried. It seems so strange to be in the city like this, but it's gorgeous. Luke kissed her cheek. It's definitely you. A nice balcony and front porch. And right next to your bar, he pointed. She looked to her left and smiled at the workers who were hammering the new bar together. I like it. It's coming along great. In another week it will be finished and we can have our grand opening. Luke, You will be coming, right? Yes, I wouldn't miss it for the world. So, are you going to drink a beer that day? He laughed. Very funny, Jack shook his head. I just might, he laughed. Come, let me show you the house. He took her hand and led her into the house. I tried to keep it simple, but added rooms that you'd like. Here we have our living room, he led her to the kitchen. We have a large eat-in kitchen. Claudine will be working from 5 to 7. That's when she'll cook us dinner. She will also do the grocery shopping. If you want something, add it to the list on the refrigerator. Sounds good. I can do that, she said. If we want to eat when she's not here, I'll cook, Jack laughed. Good, and I promise that I won't cook, she laughed. Through those doors is a dining room, which is also like the tea room. You can see that later. I wanted to show you our offices and the workout room. We have a workout room. Yeah, I know how you like to train and keep in shape. I know it will be a while before you can do that again. Oh, show me, she said, as he led her and Luke down the hall. 2 offices, one for me and one for you, but this is the workout room. I hope I got everything that you like, he said. She opened the door and smiled. It's perfect. You know me so well, she hugged him. I only lightly furnished the house. I figured you'd want to decorate. We can look through the mass catalogs I collected and order whoever you want. The bed? It's the same, right? She asked. Yes, I kept that bed that you love so much, he kissed her. Luke smiled at the two. I have to get to work. Samantha, I'm glad you're better. I'll see you both soon. Call me if you need me, but you're in good hands. He shook Jack's hand and kissed Sam's cheek, then he left. 203. Show me our room, please, she said. He carefully lifted her up and carried her up the stairs. There are 2 rooms up here. A guest room and our master bedroom. Off the master, there's a master bath. It has a garden tub and a separate shower. He carried her into the bedroom. She smiled at the room, as it was filled with deep red velvet roses. Oh, Jack, it's beautiful, she said, as he laid her on the bed. I'm glad you like it. Anything you think it needs, we'll order. We have a balcony, too. I know you're still healing, but can I just lie with you and hold you? I feel like it's been forever. Please, do, she said, as she carefully laid in his arms. Are you hurting? Back is still sore, but you're making me feel better. She held his arms as he wrapped them around her. I love you, she whispered, as she fell asleep. He held her close to him and vowed that he would never let anyone ever hurt her again. He hoped that Parker had learned his lesson, but if he did it again, he would lose more than just his manhood. 204. New Hope. Samantha took Jack's hand. Now, I don't know if he'll understand that you're with me, she smiled. I'm sure it'll be fine, Jack said, as she opened the door. Sam walked over to Dylan, who was sitting in his favorite chair, looking out the window. He was holding his teddy bear close to him. She and Jack sat down and pulled up a chair. Dill, she whispered. Dylan turned his head to her. Sam here. Yes, honey, I'm here. How are you? Dill good, he smiled. Mom. Dad, angels. Yes, they're angels now. Do you see them? He placed his hand on his heart. Here. You're right, she kissed his cheek. Dill, I want you to meet my friend. This is Jack. Dylan looked in Jack's direction. Love, he said, as he patted Jack's hand. Hi, Dylan. Yes, I love your sister. Sam good. Yes, she definitely is. Sam stood up as the doctor came into the room. Ms. Lange. Oh, Dr. Woods, she said. Can we speak outside, please? Of course. Jack, I'll be right back. She followed the doctor into the hall. Jack looked at Dylan. That's a great bear you have there. Sam Bear, he said. She gave you that bear, it must be very special. Sam Love. Yes, I love her and she loves me. She loves you, too, very much. Hurt Sam. No, I won't hurt Sam. Dylan shook his head. I hurt Sam. It was an accident. That's all. 205. My fault, he cried as tears streamed down his face. Jack wiped his tears. It wasn't your fault. Sorry, he said. Sam looked into Dr. Wood's eyes. What is it? Is something wrong? He's starting to remember the accident. Oh, I didn't think he'd be able to. You all told me severe brain damage. We've started him on a new protocol. It's a new drug regimen. It's healing his memory. Well, it's healing something in his brain. He is talking better than he was before. He's making eye contact and he won't let go of that bear you gave him, he smiled. Is my brother coming back to me? Not all the way, but he may be improving. He has already improved. He hasn't had an outburst in 10 months. My guess in another 6 months, you may be able to have a real conversation with him. That's why he remembers my parents and Kyle being gone, right? Yes, if he gets better, you may want to think about having him moved to a less confining institution. Maybe even a residential home. Doc, will he walk again? He has been walking. He's even using a cane. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, go visit with your brother, he said. Thank you, she said, as she headed back into the room. So, how is he? Good, Sam, Dylan smiled. She kneeled down and held his hand. I heard you were getting better. Feel it, Sam. I know you feel it. Jack looked at her. He said he hurt you. Oh, Dill, you didn't hurt me. You never could. I love you and it wasn't your fault. Promise. I swear. You didn't hurt me. He lifted his hand and touched her cheek. No, kids. No. Baby. 206. It's all right. I'm not the mothering type, she smiled. Sorry. She kissed his cheek. Don't be sorry. Just get well. Please. Will do, Sam, he said, as Jack and Sam stood up. Jack led Sam out of the room. He put his arm around her. Sam. It's all right. I'm fine. He's getting better. It's some new drug that's making him better, she said, as they walked out to the parking lot. What was this about kids? She turned and looked into his eyes. I can't have children. The accident made me not be able to have kids. That's all. Sam, you never told me. You want me to have kids? No, I don't want to have children, but you never mentioned it before. Why? Because I can't change it? When you and I were together before, I didn't think it was forever and I was right, you left. I am so sorry. Don't be. I should have told you, but when we were together, we were all about each other. But. What is it? I was pregnant. You were? You never told me. I lost the baby in the accident. I was 6 months pregnant. He was a boy. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you because, well, then he died and that was it. A son? We have had a son. Yes, I had him buried in Our Lady of Angels Cemetery. My parents are buried next to him, as well as Kyle. I named him Jack Edward Lange. I should have told you. You were planning on raising him alone. She stared at the ground and took his hands. Yes. I thought you left me for another woman. I didn't want to interrupt your life. After I lost him, I found out that I can't have any more children. That's the scar on your stomach, right? Yes. I lost my entire uterus and part of my stomach. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I'm sorry that I lost our child. He hugged her tightly. I'm glad you finally told me. Would you have told me if Dylan didn't mention it? Probably, I just didn't think about it. I haven't thought about it 207. For a while. He opened the car door for her. Well, now that we are together, and it is about forever, we need to share more. All right. If that's what you want, she smiled. It is, allure, it is, he said, as he started the car. She looked over at him. I'd like to take you to his site. We'll go now, he patted her leg. She took his hand and led him over to the small gravestone, Jack Edward Lange. She and Jack kneeled. Do you think we should change it? To. Well, I named him without you. Samantha, I like his name. I'm honored you named him after me. I would like my last name on his stone, he was our son. I'd like that, too. I should have told you I was pregnant. If I told you back then, what would have happened? Oh, are you asking if I would have left you? Jack slowly stood up. She took his hands and gazed into his eyes. Would you have left? No. I would have been there for our son. I would have stayed. Samantha, I thought I was protecting you when I left. It turns out it just made both of us miserable. Yes, we both found others, but I can assume that we weren't happy with them, at least as happy as we were with each other. You assumed right. Ed was a good man. I loved him, but he wasn't you. When he died, I had given up on loving anyone, ever again. I only had Luke, she sighed. And Parker, he cleared his throat. I don't want to dredge up the mess with Parker. I made a big mistake. The truth is, after I found out the first time that he lied to me, I never trusted him again. When I told you that I killed him, the truth is, I had him tied up in a safe house. I eventually let him go and, well, things happened. I always knew he was hiding something from me. I lied to him about you hurting me. I made him believe that I still wanted him, when the truth is, I didn't. I continued to have sex with him, in hopes that I'd be able to forget you. It didn't work. It's all right. We're together now and that's the way it's going to always be, he kissed her softly. Let's go home, he led her to the car. 208. Jack put his arm around Sam as they headed into the house. She sat next to him on their new sofa and laid her head on his shoulder. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about our child. You know, we kept our entire relationship a secret. I think there's probably a lot we don't know about each other. Did anyone know you were pregnant? Just Dylan. He was the only one I told about you. I didn't tell Luke, Kyle, or my parents. I couldn't. Dylan, well, he was my big brother and I could tell anything to. He looked into her eyes. Sam, I've loved you for a long time. I know what kind of woman you are and you know what kind of man I am. We belong together. You're right. A lot has happened between us, both way back then and the past few weeks. I just don't want you to get tired of me. He smiled. Never. I never wanted anything more than I wanted you. You are always exciting and unpredictable, to say the least. We're changing our lives and starting out fresh. I know it's strange, but I don't think we have to change everything. She turned and faced him. I already said I'd give up the other stuff for you, he said, as he lightly touched her cheek. I don't want you to. I want us to continue as we are, who we are. So, does that mean, if someone pisses us off? Maybe, depends on the person and how bad they piss us off, She reached up and kissed him tenderly. Just, don't tell Luke. Of course not. Our business is our business, Jack smiled. And I can't wait until our business is officially open. Me, either, she kissed him softly. Oh, do you know any single, gay men? Why? Luke needs someone. Yeah, the past few times he's had sex, it was with me. He needs someone to love, too. I could hook him up with Steve, he said. I thought Steve quit, she said. He did as the bartender, but I hired him as the cook, now that we have a kitchen. I think he'd be perfect for Luke, she smiled. 209. 210. Keeping life. Sam walked out to the balcony and sat down. She closed her eyes and sighed to herself. The shots of the past echoed in her head. She could see the blood pour from the wounds as she rubbed her eyes. Life had certainly changed for her. She finally got back the man she deeply loved, but she also was realizing a lot about herself. She lightly touched her mouth as her mind drifted back in time. She laid on the bed, with the towel wrapped around herself. Jack? Are you awake? He opened his eyes and smiled. You look lovely in that towel, he grinned. You have to leave, don't you? She sighed. I'm sorry, Lee. Yes, I have something I need to take care of, he said. Tell me about it, she whispered. I can't share that part of my life with you. You know that. I love you, Lee, but you're a cop. Your loyalty is to your badge. My loyalty is to you, always. I love you, Jack. Please, stay with me. I can't. I'm sorry. Yes, I love you, he held her close as he dropped her towel. He ran his fingers over her barbed wire tattoo. You know why I got this for you, don't you? Yes, of course, so, you'll always be a part of me, she kissed him softly. Allure, you can be very strong and dangerous and sexy and I love that about you. But, it means that you are also mine, he kissed her hard. You're leaving me, aren't you? She pushed him away. How did you know? He said. You never claim ownership on me, you don't own me and you never will. I don't own you. Jack, I love you. Why are you leaving me? I found someone I can screw whenever I want, he stood up and put on his pants. But we're in love, are you saying you don't love me anymore? No. It's better this way. You'll forget about me. No, I never will. I will never love anyone more than I love you. I am sorry, Allure, he pulled her close and laid her on the bed. I'm 211. Sorry. I love the way we make love. Allure, if you were in a different line of work. Or even if I was, maybe it would work, but you're not a killer. You don't even get speeding tickets. I can't let you in my world. It's not the life for you. You don't get to say what I want out of life, she spat as she sat up and put on her robe. No, but I get to say what I want out of my life, he kissed her again. I don't want to leave you, but I have to, he put on his shirt and headed out the door. Sam buried her face in her hands. I want to be with you. I'd do anything. I want to know, she cried. Sam jumped up as Jack put his hand on her shoulder. Oh, you startled me, she said. Is something wrong? He asked, as he sat down next to her. I was thinking about the night you left me. Oh, I handled that all wrong. That's not why I was thinking about it. Jack, ever since you and I first became involved, way back when. I also felt a longing to come into your world. You never said anything, he said, as he put his arm around her. I know. I always thought it was exciting. That's why I loved being an undercover officer. I was out on the streets, doing things. Not always legal, but I always had my ass covered. When Parker. I don't mean to bring him up, but when he gave me the instructions that I had to kill people. I was at first very upset about it. My first kill was Scott. It was hard and I broke down afterwards. When I killed Alyssa, I closed my eyes and just shot her in the head. I didn't feel much when I killed Simon Elders. Parker said it would get harder, but it got easier. Did you enjoy it? I wouldn't say enjoy, it made me feel alive, and very grateful to be alive. I was turned on. To be honest, the so-called procedure was at first a cover-up, so that right after an elimination I could catch my breath and have time to myself. But, you did this procedure, with Parker, correct? Yeah, I needed to feel better. He did make me better, but I saw something in him that was like you. I know it's wrong, but I thought I hated you. Something in his eyes was so like you. I knew. I thought I knew that I couldn't ever be with you again, so I let myself be taken in by Parker. 212. He is a very good liar. Most of the time I don't know if he's lying or telling the truth. I think that he does love you, but he doesn't know anything about being in love with anyone but himself. Jack, I've done a lot of killing for you, she whispered. I know. Is there something you wanted? Would you really kill for me? She laid her head on his shoulder. Of course. You didn't kill Parker. Did you want me to? Yes, I mean, no. I guess. I don't know. Allure, I would do anything for you. I love you. If you want me to. No. I was just curious as to why you didn't, she sighed. I thought the best way to handle my brother is to make him suffer. He loves you and yet, he hurt you and lied to you. The only way to really make him pay is for him to suffer with his pride, and you know, if he sees us, every day for the rest of our lives, loving each other, it'll kill him inside. If he was dead, the suffering would be over. Did I not make the right decision? It was the right one. I have to admit, that every now and then, I just may hit him if he looks at me the wrong way, but I totally understand. I knew you would, Allure, he said, as she sat on his lap. I love you, Jack, she said, as she looked into his eyes. I want to be with you. I don't want us to change for each other. I have to admit that, yes, in the last 7 years, I have changed. I've grown up. I've gotten stronger and I've learned a lot, about myself. He lightly touched her cheek. I am still learning about you. Is this what you really want? Yes. I want us to be partners, but there is something that I've been very curious about. What's that? Are all the bodies really buried in the construction site? He laughed. No. That would be too obvious. There's no way I would have bodies buried under places where families are going to live. He kissed her softly. So, where are they? Gone, he said. Jack, don't you trust me? She asked, as she stood up and walked over to the railing. Of course, I trust you, he stood up and put his hands on her 213 shoulders. They're disintegrated. I have a man who works at the crematorium. That's all. Lloyd used to do cleanup, but he's, well, gone. She turned and faced him. I'm sorry. I do have to ask, how did you know about where Alyssa was? I don't know what you're talking about. You told me the job was done. You gave me her necklace. Parker got rid of her. I would assume so, unless he called his friend Drew. I guess they got rid of her because Luke said there had been no sign of her or Scott. The lawyer was discovered in his office, Jack said. I know, she sighed. Sam, is there something bothering you? We never really got into details before about this. I'm sorry. I think I'm just kind of talking it out. I don't really like killing people. The money was good, she smiled slightly. Your money was good, but the rush, the thrill, the feeling inside me. I can't explain. I loved the adventure. When I was angry and focused on killing you, there was the one thing I looked forward to, before I did it. What was that? Making love to you. I knew it was going to be the best sex I ever had, and that's because it was such a rush to want you. I wanted you for so long. I know that I have you now. I like the exciting, teasing sex. I did, for the most part, enjoy the teasing the night you were planning on killing me. I am glad that we talked. She took his hand and led him into the bedroom. She sat on the bed and looked up at him. I don't know if I could have done it, though. You don't think you could have killed me? She shook her head. At that moment, I was so turned on. I know you were, she smiled. I wanted to make love to you. I wanted to be with you. I wanted you to remember who I was. I wanted you to know how much I loved you. It seemed that at that moment when I stabbed you, my love and hate combined and became the greatest emotion I ever felt. That's why I stopped. He sat down next to her. Sam, we're in this together. We have a past together. We've had a bumpy, strange past few months together. I should have never left you. I thought you were too good for me and I didn't want to ruin your life. 214. You can't ruin my life. For the first time in my entire life, I feel alive. I have control of my life. I have control of myself. You also have control of me, too, he whispered. I know I take a little control sometimes. I do like it when you take control, too. I like it when we have wild, sexy, teasing sex. I also love it when we just hold each other and make slow passionate love. I don't ever want us to lose our spontaneity or our passion. We won't. I promise. Sam, let's just live our life, whatever happens, happens to us, together. I do so love you. I need you, Jack. I will always need you, too, he said, as he kissed her passionately. Do you mind a little passion right now? Please, show me what you've got, she pulled him on top of her. He sat up. Better idea, he grinned. What's that? She sat on his lap. Let's finish what we started that night. Are you sure? I want to be teased by you, Allure, he said. If you insist, she said. Now, she licked her lips as she untied his tie. She carefully tied his tie around his eyes. Just feel it, she said, as she unbuttoned his shirt. She gently removed his belt and made him stand. She pulled down his pants and he stepped out of them. She gently ran her hands all over his body. She gently pushed him to sit on the bed and moved her body close to him. She unbuttoned her blouse and let it slide off her shoulders. She took his hands and rubbed them gently on her breasts. He moved his face towards her chest and tenderly sucked on her nipples. She took his hand and ran it between her legs. Can you feel me? Oh, yes, Allure, you feel so good, he said. She kneeled on the floor in front of him and kissed his chest gently. She ran her hands down between his legs and squeezed softly. I see you are turned on, aren't you? Can I beg you yet? He licked his lips. Go on, beg, she said, as she sat on his lap and rubbed herself against him. Now. I want you now, he panted. She slowly removed his blindfold and gazed down at him. First. Touch me. He ran his hands down her body. He fondled her nipples until 215. They peaked at the ultimate hardness. She pushed him on the bed and laid on top of him. How bad do you want me? I want it, you, bad. Don't make me wait any longer, he pleaded. She gently ran her tongue down his neck, to his chest, and down to his waist. She lightly licked him all over and then ran her hands around his body. When he couldn't take the arousal anymore, he grabbed her and rolled over. I want you now, But first. First what? She moaned. He sat on top of her legs and ran his fingertips over every inch of her body. Do you want it? He whispered, out of breath. Now, please, she cried, as he ran his fingers lightly between her legs. Are you sure? He grinned. She reached up and pulled him down on top of her. Make love to me, now. That, I can do, my allure, he said, as he made gentle, passionate love to her. How hard do you want it? Harder, baby, please, she said, as she kissed him passionately on the mouth. It's not too hard, is it? He asked, as the sweat poured down his face. No, it's just right, she said, as she held him close to her. 216. Jealousy. Sam woke up and noticed that Jack wasn't in the bed. She climbed out and got dressed. She opened the doors to the balcony and gazed over at the new bar. She noticed Jack in the parking lot, with a woman. What the hell, she spat. She headed into the bedroom. She opened the drawer and pulled out her 9mm handgun. She put it in her waistband and put on her leather jacket. She hurried across the parking lot to the bar and opened the door. Parker looked up as she came in. You don't want to go in there, he said. Shut up, PK, she said. He doesn't want to be disturbed, Parker said. Don't you have some glasses to clean or something, she spat as she headed into the office. She stared at Jack and this woman, as she sat on his desk. Who the hell is this? She yelled as she pulled out her weapon. Jack stood up and crossed his arms. Sam, this is Elaine. He cleared his throat. And, she said as she jammed her gun against Elaine's head. Elaine put her hands up. Jack, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were involved with anyone. I told you I was, Jack grinned. Now, do you believe me? Who the hell are you? Sam spat. I'm his ex-wife. I want my husband back, she gulped. Who the hell are you? Sam grabbed her arms and made the woman face her. I'm Samantha. Jack is mine and there's no way in hell that you're going to take him from me. No one owns Jack. He does what he wants, she put her hands on her hips. Samantha hit her in the face with the butt of the gun. Not anymore, you little bitch. Do you want to die now? She aimed the gun at her woman's forehead. 217. I'll stay away from Jack. I promise, she gulped. What were you doing here? I was trying to, seduce him. Did he like it? Sam spat. I don't know what you mean, she cried. Did he get hard? Did you turn him on? Sam spat. No. He didn't. He told me he loved someone else and didn't want me. I didn't listen. I thought. You thought you could sex him into wanting you again, didn't you? Yes, she put her head down. Please, don't kill me. I'll leave and keep my mouth shut. I don't want to die. Please, don't let me. My kids need me. You have children? Sam asked. Yes, 2. How old? Sam slowly lowered the gun. 10 and 7, she cried. I'll stay away from Jack. I promise. I won't ever come back here again. Sam walked over to Jack and kissed him hard and then pushed him into the chair. Just sit there, she said. Can I go, please? She looked at Jack. Sam pushed her. Don't even look at my man again. Get out. If you come near this bar or Jack again, I will make your children motherless. Do you hear me? She said. Oh, yes. Elaine quickly picked up her purse off the desk and hurried out of the office. Sam turned her attention to Jack. So, tell me, what was that about? He smiled. Jealous. Don't play that with me. You know I love you, but I won't allow you to be with any other woman than me, do you hear me? I know, Samantha. I love you. She approached me in the parking lot. I told her to come in so we could talk. I tried to tell her about you, but she thought I was lying. Yes, she tried to seduce me, but, allure, she's not you. I only want you. I've never seen you so riled up. He stood up and placed his hands on her shoulders. Oh, so now, you try to be nice, she grinned. Always, allure, you're the only woman I want. I lost you once and I won't lose you again. Why didn't you kill her? Children. If she didn't have children, I would have put a bullet in her head. I know. I shouldn't have said that I owned you. I don't own 218. You, but I was pissed. I needed to make my point. Oh, you definitely made your point. You're such a beautiful and sexy woman. You have my heart, allure. This jealousy thing of yours really turned me on. Don't let it happen again just to get turned on, she grinned. He lightly touched her face. God, I love you so much and I'm so glad that we're together. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him softly. Can you come home? Yes, allure, he said as he picked her up and carried her out the back door of the office and towards the house. I do love you, Jack, she said, as he carried her up the stairs to the bedroom. And I love you, allure, he said, as he laid her down on the bed. 219. 220. Grand opening. Sam and Jack opened the back door the new Razor's Edge. She held him close to her and kissed him softly. Are you ready? Definitely, he looked around at their staff. He nodded to Steve, who stood in the open kitchen, that could be seen by the patrons. Parker stood nervously behind the bar and gazed over at Sam. Cal, Ryan, and Tom waited at the door. Lionel and Simon stood outside of Jack's office, as his bodyguards. Sam looked at Jack and then he nodded to Tom. Tom unlocked the door and turned the sign to open. He took Sam's hand and led her to the bar table that was located across from the bar, but near their offices. A sign gently hung from above the table that stated reserved for Jack and Sam. Sam watched as patrons kept entering the bar, and either took a seat at one of the many bar tables or sat at the bar. This is better than I imagined, Jack said. You were so right about the floor plan and the food and everything. Oh, there's Luke, she said, as she waved to Luke. I think it's time. I'll be right back, Jack said, as he walked towards the kitchen. Sam hugged Luke. So, what do you think? I think it's great. I love it in here. How are you and Jack doing? Quite well. We're moving forward with our lives and we're learning to share. I heard that Dylan is improving. Yeah, he is. So, has Parker been giving you any problems? She laughed slightly. No. I haven't really talked to him since he shot me. Jack will deal with him more than I will. I think he already did, Luke laughed. Well, yeah, you know, she said, as Jack walked back over to the table with Steve. Luke, this is Steve. He's our cook here, Jack introduced. 221. Nice to meet you, Luke's eyes lit up. You, too. So, what do you think of the place? Steve asked. I love it. It's great. Didn't you used to bartend here? Yeah, but now I get to cook, which is what I really like to do. He said. Really? Luke smiled. Steve, why don't you show Luke our kitchen after you get him a drink? Jack said. Oh, sure, come on, Steve said. Luke kissed Sam's cheek. Thanks for the nudge, he whispered. We all need lovin', she laughed. I'll catch up with you later, he followed Steve to the kitchen. Sam looked at Jack. How'd you do that? I just told Steve to look out in the room and pick the one man he was attracted to. And he picked Luke. Yeah, Go figure, but it all worked out. So, I see that Parker keeps staring over here at you. Yeah, I should go talk to him. I'll get our drinks, she said. Are you sure? Yeah, he won't hurt me. He can't hurt me anymore. I won't allow it. And neither will I, Jack said, as she walked away. Sam walked over to the bar and sat down. Parker walked over to her. So, boss, what can I get you? 2 beers, bottles, she said. Jack doesn't drink anything from a bottle, he said. He does now, she smiled. Coming right up, Parker said, as he set the bottles in front of her. Anything else? Yeah, there is one thing. What's that? Why'd you shoot me? I figured if I couldn't have you, Jack shouldn't either. You know, PK, she sighed. If you didn't lie to me, if you didn't kill my brother, if you were upfront with me about everything from the beginning, maybe we would have had a chance. You still love Jack. How come you didn't tell me about Jack in the beginning? You told me he killed my parents. I started to hate him for that. 222. Things changed, Parker. I thought I was falling in love with you, but that person I loved wasn't real. The parts of you I saw reminded me a lot of Jack, the way we were together. I thought I loved you, but it wasn't real. Yeah, you betrayed me and broke my heart, but I'm better. You shot me in the back, you goddamn coward. You're not the man I thought you were, who you pretended to be. I don't know you and I don't know if I'll ever even like you. I'm sorry about everything. You're right, I should have told you the truth. I just wanted you to be as angry with my brother as I was. I don't know the issues between you and Jack, but that's not my problem. Well, I won't bother you. You'll just be my boss and even if I wanted to. I couldn't, you know. I know what Jack did to you. It's too bad, because you were a good lover. You made me feel good, but that was just physical. I thought at the time we were making love, but it can't be love if it's not real, it was just sex. She picked up the beers. I am going to see a doctor to see if he can fix it. I can't live without ever having sex again, he said. Whatever makes you happy. I hope it works out for you, and if it does, don't ever put your hands or any other part of your body on me, she said. I still love you, babe, he smiled. Don't call me anything but Sam. Do you hear me, she said. Yeah, but you can still call me PK. I love hearing it from your mouth, he smiled. Whatever, she said, as she head over to Jack. A bottle, he grinned. Yup, come on. Let's go in the office, that way no one has to see you drink it, she laughed. Jack looked at Simon and Lionel. Do not let us be interrupted. No, sir, Lionel said. The couple walked into the Jack's office. Sam closed the door and locked it. She walked over and sat on his desk as he sat in the chair. She slowly sipped her beer and then set it on the desk. She slipped off her heels and gently ran her toes up and down his leg. He smiled at her. You once told me that you kept business and personal separate, he smiled. Oh, so, you don't want to break in your office, she flirted. Oh, I definitely do, he said. What do you want me to do? She raised her skirt slightly as she straddled his lap. She ran her 223 hands over his chest. Just love me, like you always do. He stood up as she wrapped her legs around his body. He carried her over to the sofa and laid her down. He loosened his tie and threw it on the floor. She pulled him close to her. I love you, Jack, she whispered. I love you, Samantha, he kissed her softly as he made gentle love to her. She sat next to him on the sofa. So, not bad for a grand opening, she laughed. He put his arm around her. I like this partnership. So do I. So, You settle things with Parker. Yes, he can't hurt me anymore. No one can. Believe me. No one can, he kissed her forehead. Did you mean what you said the other day? About what? Keeping some things the same. Yes, who do you need me to kill? She laughed. Well, he grinned. Jack, she looked at him. Who pissed you off? There is just some unfinished business before we can move on. She snuggled up to him. I'll do whatever you need to find peace of mind, she said. But, it's between you and me. Is the price still the same? He asked. She sat on his lap and faced him. Yes, but my procedure is different, she smiled, as she kissed him. Oh, how is it different? He lightly touched her cheek. You're the one I want the procedure with, my way, she laughed. I love your way. Is it all right, if now and then, we do it my way? He asked. No hitting, but the blindfold and ropes are fine, she flirted. Good. I knew you'd be mine, all the way. She ran her hands up and down his chest. Jack. What is it? He asked, as he leaned back. I may be yours, but you're mine. I like that, he smiled. If you ever look at another woman again, I'll kill her. Do you hear me? 224. I don't want anyone but you. I promise. Good. Always remember that I'm very good with a knife, she ran her hands down his pants. Oh, you're good with a lot of things. I remember and I'll never forget. She kissed him long and hard. How did that make you feel? Like it should be illegal, he laughed. Well, not everything we do is illegal, but since you played my game, we can break in my office and play your game, if you want, she flirted, as she stood up. He grabbed her and carried her into the adjoining office. He wrapped his tie around her eyes and held her close. Strip, he demanded. She turned towards his hot breath. Make me. Do you trust me? He lightly touched her face. With everything that I am, she said, as she let her clothes drop to the floor.